He won.
Wait a
He
sec.
need.
Isn't that Rook on B5 just trapped over
It's
there?
dead. He's the best player in the world. I told you. He is
Wow,
the best player I've ever seen.
that
And
is.
Rook E7 is perfect. Rook E7, Rook C7,
And look
and
at the
White
clock
is
situation.
toast.
Sean Nagel.
Toast.
Look at this guy go.
It's
Rook C6, knight
unbelievable.
A7, right?
Yeah, Rook
Rook
C6,
C6.
Knight A7 is just end of game.
That's
Resign.
a free
Oh, he
rook.
missed it.
No, play it next move. He has time.
Play it
That's what
now. Do it. Oh no! He just wants to bring the king in. Also, probably just wins. Oh no, but wait. Wait. Knight
Rook
C2,
takes
Bishop.
knight. Rook takes C2. Take that knight and play
Ah,
king
Rook
C6.
takes C2. Bobby Hess.
Just take
And
it.
King
He's
C6.
gonna see it. He's gonna see it.
He's going to
Also,
see
he can.
this. He
Yes.
did it. Welcome,
I'm ready.
everybody. It's the, well, this is a very good lesson, ladies and gentlemen. Always mute your mic. Here we go. It's week 2 of the Atlantic Division here in the Pro Chess League. I'm Lawrence Trent. Delighted to be here, joined by none other than the man himself, Robert Hess. How are you, Robert?
I'm doing very well. I just spoke for an hour straight while I was doing the highlight show.
Oh, I
But
see.
other than that, and being very hungry, I'm great. No complaints. Happy to do the show with you, Lawrence.
Brilliant to be back. Actually, the last time we called something together was a few years back in Las Vegas for Millionaire Chess, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
Long,
I don't think we've done anything together since, but we had a lot of times doing those millionaire events. No longer around, but they were great while they lasted.
yeah, they were absolutely fantastic while they lasted. Well, today what we're going to do is, and just going to quickly sort something out here, is we are going to be covering the second week of the Atlantic Division. And Robert, this is a bit of a new area for me to cover. As you know, I've been covering the Central Division, my homies back in London and Europe for the Central Division. So perhaps you can give the guys a little roundup of what happened last week in the first week of this year's competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week was a great one in the Atlantic. We saw the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers just really go to work on the Buenos Aires Krakens. We saw the Webster Windmills destroy the Montclair Sopranos. That was actually a bit surprising because Montclair actually is a talented team. The Montreal Chess Bras won 8.5, 7.5 over the Miami Champions, two very strong teams who lost top-level elite talent, players such as Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, but are still very strong this year as well. And then the Minnesota Blizzard took out the St. Louis Archbishops, and that was a great game. We saw the kind of the average team, like the all 24, 2,500 team defeating the heavyweights from St. Louis, the defending champions. So for those of you who are hashtag Team Scandy, John Bartholomew fans, and Penguin GM fans, you'd be thrilled. For those of you who like the chess capital of the U.S., potentially the world, well, sorry about that. The defending champions will have to wait till tonight to see if they can get their first victory.
Well, we're going to see that tonight, aren't we? And the games are about to kick off. Before we go there, though, we're going to have a quick look at the prizes for everybody who doesn't know. Those are not the prizes. We'll try the map, and those is not the map. Okay, we'll come back to us for a moment. I thought we had those prizes in there. I will get that in there at some point. I guess what we can do, Robert, is we can actually go straight to the games. How about that?
That sounds excellent.
Let's see what we've got up and running now in the first round. Gonna give this a little refresh here. In the first round, are there any highlight pairings in terms of head-to-head pairings, or?
It depends if you like GM on GM action, because right now we have Ray Robson with White against Varuzhin Akobian, and we have Yaroslav Zherabuk with White against Alex Shimanov. So two very strong pairings just to start off.
I can see those, and we've got, GM on GM blood to start off with. As you said, I've got both of those games loaded up, Robert, so you just tell me which one do you want to go to here?
Well, let's start with the game where Akobian is black. And it's also worth noting that, well, you would know better than I would. I've never been there. So, Lawrence, where is Virgin Akobian playing from? How
He's
far
playing
from
from
you?
Gibraltar. He's playing from
Yep.
Gibraltar. Yeah, he's participating in one of the strongest open tournaments in the world, taking place in the British Overseas Territory of Gibraltar, which is it's a delightful tournament on the rock and full of sun in a very cold January. Normally, this end of the world, and it seems as though VAR is pulling a late one in order to play tonight. He will, yeah. Well, it's going to be around this time. Actually, it's Gibraltar, so it's the same time, Central European time, so it's going to be 12:30 in midnight. So he is really committed to the cause of his team, that's for sure, to be able to play tonight. And he's playing obviously against the very talented Ray Robson. These guys have played lots of times, though, right, Robert?
Oh yeah, and they're going to be playing again at the U.S. Championship in just a couple months, so they know each other well, which makes it interesting to me that Akobian decided to play the French because he switches between the Caracan and the French, and I guess he liked what he's seen in his games in the past against Ray Robson, and in the current position, it's an interesting choice already because in general, Black does not want to go C4 when it allows eventually Bishop A3 to take over the dark squares. That said, with that pawn on a4, well, sometimes actually black can just like pile up pressure on it by going c4, bringing the knight from c6 to a5, eventually just going bishop c6 to queen d7, something like that can actually win that a4 pawn, but it's not really the most important piece. So the queen side, in some ways, is a distraction because white is waiting for black to castle king side, and once black does that, then white can move the knight from f3 and go f4 and just start making an attack. So knight c6 is the best starting move. Don't commit yourself to anything. Keep the tension in the center. And Akobian has great experience in these lines.
Yeah, he's a marvelous player, isn't he, VAR? And he had a great US Championships actually last year. You know, he really showed that he can play with the big boys. Actually, last year in general was a really big year for him. So I know he'll be looking to repeat that this year over the board, and of course on the internet as well. And as you said, he's got a position which I'm sure he'll be pretty comfortable with here. I think with black. But I always prefer the white side, if I'm totally honest, of these positions. I just feel like, you know, you've got a bit more potential. And in blitz games, I feel like it's a bit easier as well, especially when you've got a bit more space. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, though. Should we go over to the Shimanov game?
Absolutely. And so Yaroslav Zherbuk with the white pieces against Alex Shimanov with black. And you see that this pawn is on h4 and black just castled. So what white is aiming for is, you know, some ideas with knight g5 can hit h7. Now, bishop takes h7 check is not a good move now, right? I mean, that's a thematic sacrifice to break up the position.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for white, after bishop h7 check, king takes h7, knight g5 check, king to g8. Well, queen h5 is met with knight f6, right? So that's kind of the downside of trying to sacrifice a piece is if it can be met by a simple knight f6 move. So Lawrence, I mean, you know, these kind of positions, he went h5.
Wow.
What I was going to say is, who do you tend to like here? Because black can pile pressure on the c3 pawn, and these pawns on c and 3 and d4, if one rook goes to c8 and the other to d8, they can be a bit vulnerable.
Well, these are the sorts of positions, Robert, in which I'm maybe one of the world's expert in being able to lose this position comfortably with white and lose it with black. So I'm hopeless on both sides. Traditionally, I've always had this position from the white side. If I'm playing a slightly weaker player, they end up making a mistake and I'm able to checkmate them. If I'm playing a strong player, they understand that white has actually got absolutely nothing here. And as you said, this backward pawn here on c3 becomes a target. They snuff out my attack, and they end up winning the ending. You know, normally with a rook on c4, the rook can kind of swing over to a4. We've got a double rook ending, and that's how I normally go down. But yeah, I don't particularly like white's position at all, if I'm totally honest. I don't see where Zherebuk is getting his play from. This knight can come to f6 real quick, and I don't think Shimanov is worried here at all. Black can even play moves like bishop f4. one of the key ideas, I think, in these positions, this reminds me very much of a isolated queen's pawn kind of structure you could get as well. It's all about exchanging pieces if you're black. If you exchange pieces off here, structurally you're better. That is your long-term asset. So if you get rid of the active white pieces, get rid of this guy, remove a defender here. I think, for example, bishop f4 is just a standout move here. I would play this almost instantly with black, or play rook ac8, one of these moves. But I don't believe white has got any advantage at all here. And there we go. Bishop f4.
Yep, bishop f4, excellent move.
Yeah.
You know, the purpose is clear, like you said, removing a defender of the pawn on c3. The bishop on d6 didn't really have a future, right? Because the bishop looks nice on that square, but it's aiming at air. So bishop f4 is a very good move, and I think you're right that Zherbuk has a difficult task ahead of him just to equalize. And knight e5.
Whoa.
Okay, so that is...
That's interesting, but okay, let's try and work this out. So knight e5. So if I go, well, black's, there's a really interesting, how about this, Robert? Just as one of the lines, I'm not even sure this is best. What happens if I take on e5? His idea is not to play d takes e5 here, because I'll just play bishop takes d2, and you've got absolutely nothing. I'm bringing a rook to the d file. That doesn't make sense. So his idea is after knight e5, he wants to go bishop f4, right, pinning this knight. But what happens if I now flick in the cute little queen c6, threatening mate, and you've got to prevent mate by either playing f3 or by playing bishop e4. But if you play bishop e4, which looks like the most sensible move, I can take everything off here and then plant a knight on c4. And then we've got one of these positions that, you know, somebody like Magnus or Karpov would win in their sleep here with black, having this knight beautifully entrenched here on this c4 square. White's got absolutely no play whatsoever. Black has got play against the c3 pawn for eternity. He's just going to put a rook on c8 here. He's got a nice grip over the d5 square as well. This is just dream world. So I don't believe this at all. And he played knight takes e5. He played it very, very quickly. And I expect that after bishop takes f4, he's going to go queen c6. That's his idea.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That ending, like you said, with the knight on c4 and control of the light squares is something that, you know, Karpov would just totally dream. You know, he'd be in heaven in that position because it might even just be structurally lost at that point because white's pawns are so bad. Black easily controls the board, putting one rook on c8. The other one can go from d8 to d5 and things like that. The plans come so naturally. So black is already a good position in this Shimanov game. And so, it'll be a tough task for Yaroslav. And another game that's interesting to jump over is this Fedoseev game against Talia Cervantes Landero. And as I mentioned in the highlight show, Talia Cervantes, she's a teenager. She lives in St. Louis, and she's, I think, a Spice Junior member. So she kind of works with the Spice team some, and maybe that means potentially she'll eventually go to Webster. So she's the white pieces in this game against the exceptionally talented Vladimir Fedoseev.
Is that Big Fish, is it?
That's
Big Fish. Okay, that's Big Fish. And we got Talia Cervantes, as you said. Okay, wow, what a position we've got here.
Yeah, and she voluntarily took with a G-pawn on an F3 a couple moves ago. She could take it with the queen. And what I'm seeing here is at some point, white is going to go F5. And maybe now is the time to do so. By going F5, and she played it,
wow,
this is an interesting pawn sack. Because if you take with the G-pawn, well, you're in big trouble down the G-file. Now you took with the E-pawn. Look at this move, bishop G5. Next move is knight D5. I think black is in big trouble here.
Really?
I mean, I'm not saying losing or anything like that, but I just love that D5 square. I think the knight on H5, well, white can go F4 at the right moment. That knight's hanging. Maybe bishop F6 here kind of holds everything together.
Feels like bishop F6 should be okay for black, right? I play these systems on the black side, Robert, so I'm a bit biased perhaps. I like, these King's Indian kind of structures. What do you do after bishop F6? I can understand after knight F6. Knight F6 does look like a mistake because you'll just take on F5. And then after bishop takes F5, bishop takes F5, G takes F5, you've got all kinds of bishop H6 ideas, knight D5 ideas. I can understand why that's going to be troublesome. But after the simple bishop F6 here, blocking the attack there, I don't see white's immediate follow-up there, I have to say.
Yeah, you might be right. I was thinking that at some point I could
Queen
take on F5,
E8.
put him at E4, but Queen E8.
That
Wow, that's
looks
a
extremely strange to me, that move. Now knight d5 is begging to be played with the idea of coming to c7.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
coming
she's
to
done it.
E7.
How
Yeah,
strong is she? How old is Talia?
I think she's like 14 or 15, if I'm
Oh
not
my
mistaken. I believe she's
goodness me.
2150 or so, but she's
Holy
seems
cow.
really good improvement. I mean, she really has been playing well. I've, when I do my research on the players, I've seen that she has grown a lot in the last couple of years as a chess player. So, I mean, this is a game to be proud of thus far. Even if she eventually loses, she has the right strategy, and she's clearly not afraid. She's going for it.
Wow, that's amazing. Absolutely stunning. Knight d5. Well, we're going to keep our eye on this one, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we have another match started, and that is the Chess Bras and the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers. So, that's going to be a fun match. For the moment, we can always go to the crowd favorites, either Amon Hamilton's game or Robin Van Kampen. We'll make the people happy.
We'll make the peeps happy because I'll tell you what, we'll go to my boy RVK to start off with. And I was just with Robin actually when I popped over to the Tata Steel tournament, which was great fun. In Vaganze, very famous for all of you who follow top level chess. Of course, the Tata Steel tournament is the 80th edition this year. Absolutely unbelievable. So big celebration there. Magnus is playing, Fabiano Caruana, Vladimir Kramnik, Rishi Anand, and so on and so forth. And I went over there and I saw Robin. And Robin was actually over there doing some commentary himself. So we've now had a chance, he's had a chance to criticize some of the players. And now we get a chance to come and pick apart his game. And he's playing black here against Mike Brattain, who I have to say, I don't know really at all. Maybe you know Mike more than I do.
I do, and his name is not Mike, but I believe it's Micah or Mika with an A.
Mika, sorry.
That's but it says Mike here. It's very funny to me because, that's such an easy mistake to make. But
right.
What I do know about the player with the white pieces for the Pawn Grabbers is that, well, look at the rating, right? 2381 FIDE, which means that clearly someone who's not a pushover. And I don't know how old he is. I know that, he plays in a lot of USCF tournaments, his US Chess Federation, and has had some very good results, has beaten a bunch of grandmasters. And in this current position where RVK has taken on C3, it's good in the sense that black has won a pawn for the time being, but I'm always really nervous about making kind of these decisions where you give up the fianchetto bishop. So now bishop h6 at some moment is going to be quite powerful. The pawn on e4 is actually not the easiest pawn to protect. And it's also easy to blockade. And I don't know, Lawrence. I'm generally not a fan of giving up that bishop, but at the same time, I don't think black had enough space. And
looks as though this is just a dream position. As we said, I didn't believe in White's setup in the first place. And, I still don't believe in it, of course, because black is just much better. I just think this is going to be an easy kind of conversion here for Shimanov. I don't see any reason why he won't just win a5, march the A and B pawns down the board. Everything else is blockaded. Maybe some small technical difficulties, but should be okay.
Yeah. Speaking of difficulties, let's go to the Talia Cervantes game against Fedoseev to stay in that matchup. Look at White's position now. That rook on a8 can be gobbled up, and black surely has compensation, but is it anything more than that? I mean, White has to be at least decently pleased with what's gone on.
Well, let's have a look, shall we? I think that's the best thing to do here. Yeah, I mean, wow, what a position here. Well, the first move I would play here for sure is to play the move pawn to e5, I think, with White. And the reason I want to do that is because I don't want to allow Fedoseev to get a bind on my dark squares by planting something here on e5. And then this bishop on e3, on d3, I beg your pardon, is going to be shut out. And this knight's not going anywhere on a8. So let's keep some life in the position with e5. That way we allow the bishop to come to e4 sometimes, but also, more importantly, we can think about sacrifices on g6, breaking open that position, Robert. And that looks like it could be potentially very dangerous. So I wonder if Talia has got the courage to give up that material here.
I think okay. She went Queen D2, as I was saying. I don't think she was going to play it, but that's
Yeah.
it's a hard move to make E5 because if you don't realize that the knight on A8 actually gets sprung free in some variations, right? By the threat of bishop E4, you're opening up the queen on C6, the pawn F3. So I can understand why that move would not be easy to play. That said, now Black can just take on A8. You really don't want to take on F4 from White's perspective because then Black gets the two bishops. The pawn on B2 is going to be hanging. And okay, bishop E5 was played. So now Black is really consolidating, and I don't think Black has any weaknesses whatsoever. So rook B1 and pawn at B4 is an idea, but I think Black is now doing well. I feel pretty confident Fedoseev is going to win this game. So these mistakes, these kind of missing these shots to E5, I think will have really big consequences.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a big problem here for Talia now. I think she's going to be struggling here a bit. Okay, so just going to quickly adjust something, guys, so that I don't keep on dropping out. I know people are saying, "Hey, Lawrence, what's going on here? You're dropping out." I'm like, I know, guys, I know, and I'm trying to fix that and talk at the same time. And I'm just going to get my guys.
The past midnight internet out there.
I mean, we're only in the most advanced nation in Europe. What's that got to do with anything? And we were the ones who wanted to leave the European Union. Now you know why. It wasn't about borders and, it wasn't about migration. It was about having some darn good internet access. How about that for once? All right. It looks as though we're okay. Let's go to another game then. Robert, where would you like to go to, sir?
Well, I can't get enough of Shabalov, so if we go over to Grandmaster Shabalov's game, I wouldn't be too unhappy.
A bit of Shabalov, huh? Okay, and now Shabalov is...
He's playing with the black piece against Michael Kleinman from the Chess Bras.
From the Bras. Now, I just need their... I need his nickname, because I've got a bunch of games here, Robert. Perhaps you know his nickname on... Is it this one here? Here we go. All right. So we've got this position. Wow, this is already quite interesting.
In typical Shabalov fashion, if we go back before bishop c4, I guess the point was to allow White to take on c7, forking queen on e8 and rook on a8. It's the second time we've seen that in this round.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was to go queen f7 in response and attack the pawn on a2. So hitting the knight on c7, saying, please take my rook on a8. It's not doing anything. I'll go gobble up the pawn on a2 and deliver checkmate on a1 next move.
Right.
Very interesting.
So that's an interesting move, bishop c4, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it does the trick of, well, now queen f7 doesn't make any sense because now you're putting the queen, in harm's way. And instead, from black, you can play rook b8. You can try to get that out of that fork. And rook f7 was played. Another decent option here because, well, if white doesn't go quickly, white's just down a pawn. And so you have to get some attacks. So move h4.
h4 is just automatic here, right, Robert?
Yep, h4 is begging to be played because you just want to get that attack going.
Also, it introduces the idea of knight g5 in some lines, which tries to get rid of this very active knight on e4. And then black never wants to capture on g5 because after h takes g5, white will have a very dangerous initiative up the h file. So I expect h4 here. That looks like the move that's just begging to be played. Yeah, I wouldn't even be thinking for too long here. I think if I was Kleinman, you just want to play h4. Looks like a very, very dangerous position for black as well. H4, knight g5, hitting the rook at the same time. I think I'd take white here, Robert. I think I'd take white.
Yeah, I'm taking black just because, one...
you're such a materialist.
I trust Shab. Well, in the other game, I was like being down a pawn. This one, I just think that the position is difficult for white to navigate. And so unless you get that attack going really, really quickly, you're going to end up in trouble in that one. So we'll keep an eye on it. For now, I have faith in Shaba. And let's go to... Okay. Where do we want to go to? Corey's game is kind of boring against Forrest Chen, but actually that's a good game to go to just because Forrest Chen is 2,100. I forgot that he's so much lower rated.
Okay, so I'm gonna look for. Is this Machu Picchu against Jorge
Yes,
Corin?
exactly that game.
Yes.
So Machu
Okay.
Picchu, Corey from Peru.
Okay. And wow. Okay. So, but it looks as though Black has got a perfectly good position here. That being said, C4 just played. I like that move a lot. Has White actually got chances here to hold?
I think absolutely. You take take on c6, and now after taking e2, right? White goes c5, and you win the a pawn. Okay, rook d6 also makes perfect sense, right? Because you're coming for the b pawn. But I was thinking c5, just trade on c5 and take over the a5 square. So, but okay, what can Black even do here? I guess you need to make luft for your king and then hope that you can outplay your opponent in some sort of endgame. But I mean, White's chances of drawing this are very, very high.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think White has got fantastic chances here. He should be making a draw a lot because of this b6 pawn, right, Robert? And the fact that he's got c5 liquidation options as well. I mean, his king is a bit weaker, that's all, I guess, right?
Yeah. But not really in a way that's too problematic, because I think at some point Black may be forced to trade queens. Excuse me, trade bishops. Queens are already gone. And if that's the case, where the bishop comes to b5, then the king safety is not of the greatest importance. Okay, so it looks like Shimano won with the black pieces. We had been talking about his advantage. So it's worth noting that his game is over, and he won that game over Yaroslav Zherebuk, which is, I think I predicted St. Louis to win, so that's not a good start to my prediction. Akobian with the black piece against Robson. We haven't been here in a long time.
Okay, let's go to there. That's a big game, obviously.
A lot has changed here, and with the black pieces, a lot of pawns are kind of weak, right? Because there's the pawn on b5 as a target, and there goes the ambulance. Always an ambulance going.
There's always an ambulance. Maybe they were getting a stretcher there for your boy.
For Mr. Zherebuk?
Yeah, for Mr. Zherebuk after that.
Yeah, I'll have to go send that ambulance to St. Louis.
Here we go.
The pawn on b5, the pawn on e6, and White only has really the weakness on c3, but it's very hard to attack because f2 is well defended. a5 you're never getting to, and c3 is also difficult to get to. So it seems like all the positional advantages favor White, and the bishop on d3 is much better than the counterpart on d7. So, Lawrence, I mean, I love White's position here. Yeah,
I would agree with you. This is like what, when I look at this position, I've been a French Tarrasch player all my life with White, right? And these are the structures you can get in the French Tarrasch. This is what you dream of here. Your fantastic bishop here on d3 versus this very, very bad bishop here on d7, doing nothing but defending. And more importantly, these weak pawns here on e6 and b5. And as you say, this is a position where, if I could give this position to anybody in the world, would it be Magnus Carlsen? Nah. Would it be Vladimir Kramnik? Nah. Would it be Vishy Anand? Nah. Would it be Robert Hess? Nah. Do you know who it would be?
I don't know. Hopefully Ulf Anderson?
No, maybe Ulf back in the day. Michael Adams. Mickey made his fortune and his career out of winning positions like this. Weak backward e6 pawn, slow grind, somehow got in a rook to e3, got the queens off, g3, h4, squeeze, 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 spider, 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 yum, 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 yum. And that was Mickey. All right, that is Mickey. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said seems right. I think just for the time being with the queens on the board, White's life is a little more difficult just because you have to keep an eye on the pawn f2. I mean, queen c2, right, is asking to be played. But the question is queen h7 check actually a big deal? I don't think it is. So if you're queen c2, maybe Black can just go b4, breaking up that pawn chain and trying to say, okay, you can go queen h7 check. I'll simply move my king to f7. And if you take my pawn on b4, I'll take your pawn on d4. Now we have a weird transition there where the black bishop on d7 can eventually go to b5. The pawn on b4 is hanging. So White does have to be very careful here not to allow a shot like b4. So even a move like queen a3, maybe black can consider rook c4 to try to get this b4 movement. So I like white's position still, but I think that look at the clock situation. Ray Robson down to a minute, and he does this in real games on move 10, in a 40 move time control. But
he does, yeah.
Rook c4 now, right? I mean, now queen b4 invites rook c4.
Yeah, why would you go queen b4? I mean, maybe he wanted queen e7 there, Robert, to come around the back. That was interesting because the bishop on d7 was hanging, and if rook f7, then he had queen d8, and he would actually be winning because he would win the bishop there. So that was actually a curious move. Now I expect,
After queen e7, Lawrence, I was going to go queen c7, just retreating my bishop. My queen to protect my bishop. My rook can always swing back to f8 if you ever try to checkmate me, and c3 lost. So yeah, what is this queen b4 then back?
Well, he's gone back. Well, this is a bit of a Ray Robson special here. I don't know really what he's trying to achieve. I'm looking to get some luft for my king here. I mean, I'm playing bishop d3 here. I mean, I don't want g3. And now if queen f3, I thought that was the problem with g3. Oh, no, he's just come back to c7. Now rook e3. Now we're okay. Now we can play our standard ideas of going h4. Oh, no, the pawn! He's just stolen a pawn! Daylight robbery!
Wow. But look at the time situation. With so little time, stealing that pawn is great because now queen b6, go b4. Go queen b6 and b4. Yes. Just aim for that. Queen b6, a5, b4. I don't like that.
What is that?
Okay, so the point is if you take on g6, then e6 isn't really hanging. I mean, it is, but then c3 is hanging.
Yeah.
So it's like getting compensation through there. So Robson down to 18 seconds and counting down. VAR at 15 and a half. And so this is going to be an epic finish. So trading on g6 played.
Takes.
So rook e6, you take, and then go queen takes c3, and you win the d4 pawn probably. And I don't know. Maybe take on c3.
3, okay.
Queen g2 cannot be right.
Well, it's an interesting idea because after rook takes c3, he wants rook e6, and queen d5, Robert. But then rook takes g3 check.
Exactly. Okay, but what is VAR doing on the clock now? Okay, found rook c3.
f5.
What is that?
What?
That is just a confusing move.
Queen take rook f6. Great defense by VAR. Queen takes d4.
Takes f5. Just take it.
Queen takes d4. Pin everything.
Woof. So VAR is getting revenge for his
Queen b8. Okay, king h, rook f8. No, this is great. Well done, Varuzhin Akobian. Absolutely brilliant. Well done to you, young man. That was that was a decent performance. But I'm disappointed in Ray. He kind of fiddled around doing not much, right, for a few moves, and didn't look like he made the most of his position at all.
Yeah, that was not a great kind of performance there, and the trickiness. But he'll bounce back. But VAR is a huge win for his team. They really needed that.
Absolutely. Where are we going to go now? We've got the results coming in. We can see there we've got the St. Louis Archbishops now 2-1 up. As for the other games, we're going to get those updated very, very shortly.
Wow, so many places we can go because all matches are underway, it looks like. So where do we go from here? Do we want to go to Minnesota? Do we want to go to Pittsburgh? Do we want to go to Buenos Aires? Like, where are we going?
I'd love to go to Buenos Aires. If you buy me a ticket, I'll even go with you, buddy.
Oh, well, that's so sweet of you. So maybe we should try to go to BSAS. Where is here we go. So we have Buenos Aires versus Minnesota.
Yep.
And which one do we want to look at first? Let's look at the game between Daniel Gurevich with the white piece against Andres Carlos Obregon.
Andres Carlos Obregon. Now I need the
warm Paka is Gurevich's handle.
Okay.
And Sharp Chess 22 is Obregon's.
Wow. Okay. Warm Paka against Sharp Chess 22.
And Sharp Chess 22, Mr. Obregon better find his Sharp Chess because look at the position.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That scares me. King F1 is a great and
instructive move. Love this move.
I was about to mention it. It just gets out of the way of any knight move from c6, queen takes c3 check stuff. So now if the knight moves, well, so what? Your knight's moving. It's not doing anything. If it goes to e7, you can now even try to just go knight g5 and go forward with your attack. You can obviously start with rook c1, just simply defending the pawn. And so by playing king f1, getting out of the way first, the king is finding additional safety. You're asking black, well, what are you doing now? And the attack, I mean, it speaks for itself. At some point, you can even go queen e3, then bishop h6. You can just play the move, maybe rook c1 and play c4 to open up some more lines. And think about it, the position black is up a pawn, but the open H file is definitely worth that pawn and then some, because huge compensation down the line. And I think black will find himself under a pretty big attack in the future. But for now, maybe a move like bishop to d7 and just develop your pieces and hope that you're not getting mated eventually on the H file. Because I don't see an immediate mate, but I also don't see an immediate way for black to actually evacuate that side of the board. So,
agreed.
Other interesting games that we should go to is Aman Hamilton White against Awonder Liang. We haven't been here, and everyone loves a chess bra. And unfortunately for the bras, Awonder has an amazing position here. With the black pieces, he can just go e4 now.
Let me just bring him up. I've got KNVB here. Here we go.
KNVB and Nova. And Aman actually struggled with the clock management last week as well. And this week, or at least so far, he's not doing so hot on the clock either, and he's not doing well on the board because this bishop on g7 is a monster. The two knights, I think, are just significantly worse than the pair of minors for black. Right, the knight come to e5 now for black, and maybe try to sneak into d3. Not looking good for Aman here. And he's spending a lot of time. Again, he's still thinking here with less than a minute on his clock.
Yeah, I mean, this is very odd, isn't it? I mean, I don't know exactly what he's done to get into this position, but Awonder is just cruising, isn't he, with black here? This is just a dream kind of Indian game. And yeah, just looks as though Aman's going to need some Magnus-esque resourcefulness to try and hold this one. But his last move, knight h4, I guess Awonder is just going to go knight e5 a tempo here, or he's going to go king h7 first, and then if rook d6, he can go knight e5, and it looks as though he's got everything covered.
Yeah, it's just really, I mean, even after king h7, rook d6, maybe I'm thinking of rook d8. And that way you're forcing, if you're going to take on g6, you're going to take the rook, but then there's rook d1 check, bishop e5 check kind of stuff. White's king actually has to be very careful because you're going to have to make a move like g3, and then the f2 pawn will be a target. So it's clear that white has to be, not only is worse on the board, but has to be cautious as well. And actually, I'm going to jump around quickly here just because there are a lot of games in time trouble. Machu Picchu, that's Jorge Corey. He has the black pieces against Forrest Chen. That's a murder capital.
Okay, so let's go straight to that board there. So that's Machu Picchu. Gonna bring him up.
Machu Picchu is in totally equal position if white doesn't make any huge mistakes and does not have a lot of time. So I shouldn't say totally equal. There's still mistakes very possible to be made. But king f2 here looks like the easiest way to make a draw. That way you don't have to worry about the g pawn. You keep everything under control. If you must, you can put your king on to g2. But here, king e3 to f2, the a5 pawn is hanging. I mean, this is just a well-defended game by Forrest Chen, who, this position has happened before. This is a draw.
Yeah, this should just be a draw, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a draw.
Humongous upset.
Yeah, massive upset there. Wow, what a score that is for Webster, huh?
That is
for St. Louis. I beg your pardon.
That is very shocking because
huge
of obviously how strong a player like Corey is, and that's just, you don't expect that. So we'll keep an eye on the other games there, but let's hop on over back to our buddy RVK because things are heating up on his board as well. And I can't decide who's queen and who's getting mated and who's doing what in this end game because it looks like white is about to lose the rook because if the rook moves, let's say rook d2, then can't black just go f2? But my idea for white is if I can take on d6, Lawrence, and go knight f7 checkmate. Right? I'm very close to me. Very, very close. But I think I'm just maybe a hair too slow. So rook d2, f2, maybe then I can take on d6.
Just out of interest, we can't take on d6 first because We
because
can't
rook
take
h4,
him because of rook h4 and then king g3.
and then I take on h6.
Oh, or you go
remove
rook h3 check and take on f2 with check. Also is a problem.
that looks even
Yeah.
better.
So we're just saying here, guys, White would love to play this, but check, check, and check is taking the rook with check.
Oh,
So
knight
that's no
d6
good.
was played. That's a blunder.
He played
Rook
it.
h4.
Well, rook h4 must be the move here. RVK, he doesn't miss this. He's got 2 minutes on the clock. There's absolutely no way that RVK is missing this.
Although even in that position, so king g3, if you go rook h3 check, king g4, then take on f2.
Are we just saying we go in? We go in like Errol Flynn? No, but then rook takes h6. Must be.
Yeah, but then, oh, maybe you're right. I was going to go king takes g5, though.
Oh, you want to go king takes g5. That makes sense. Then rook g3 check. And we can win the rook via king f6, rook takes g7, h takes g7, king g8.
Oh, that's class right there.
Knight f5 and knight e4 check. And
that is class, though. He took on h6. He's attacking the knight on d6. The rook on f2 still hanging with check. And now he's just picking up. The rook is hanging on g7. So king takes g7, just picks up.
Well, hold on. King g7, knight f5 check.
Just king h7.
Knight takes h6.
King h6.
And you want to just queen a pawn.
Exactly. So this game is definitely over.
Hold on a second. He took on d6 and rook takes g5. Why is this over?
Because f2 just kind of wins material, right?
Yeah. Is it so simple? Probably. f2. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, that is.
And the clock situation doesn't help.
Yeah, the clock situation does not help whatsoever.
And it's worth noting that there was a score in the Pittsburgh game, and that is Shabalov won his game, and Atulia Shetty beat Renier Castellanos from the Chess Bros. So the Chess Bros are actually in very bad shape right now because RVK won, and I wonder, Liang, if we go back to that game,
yes.
Aman Hampton has seconds left and is down a full exchange and a pawn. So
oh my goodness.
It looks like Pittsburgh is going to jump to a 3-1 lead.
Huge score for Pittsburgh.
Match.
Huge score. The Bras are going to be wounded.
Yeah, and these knights are silly in this game. I mean, they're just stuck on the A file. And if you're black, just create another passed pawn, right? Go h5, get an h pawn. You can attack this pawn on b5 as well.
I mean, the state of this knight on a6. I mean, this looks like me and Robert after the last round of Millionaire Chess 2014. An absolute state. What we were calling games for what felt like 12 hours a day, Robert? Was that right?
It was brutal. Crazy.
It was crazy. And that night, well, Aman is just obviously, he knows he's busted here. He's playing on because, well, why not? And rook b4. Oh, he's got one trick left. That's cute. That's cute. He wanted to play rook takes b5, knight d4 check, of course. Very, very nice fought. But here he can just play king b5, and that's it.
Oh, I was misinformed, by the way. I thought Shabalov won his game, but somehow they're still playing. And
he's okay.
Going to win the game, but he hasn't won yet.
Okay, all right. Come on, Aman. Let's be having you.
And
we know you got funky hair, but that doesn't mean you can just carry on playing in an exchange and 2 pawns down.
Well, you made him sound like a wayward son, and the song goes, "Carry on, my wayward son." So
there will be peace when you are done.
Yep.
There'll be peace when, he resigns this game.
Wait a second. Let's go to the Shabalov game because Aman's game is over, and Shabalov is blundering away his winning position, and now is down a pawn and is worse.
Oh my goodness! Now, which is Shabalov's name again?
Super Bliss.
Beg your pardon? Super Bliss.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. Oh my goodness! What's he done? What has he done to his position?
In the words of Lawrence Strett, he's completely bottled it.
He's bottled it. He's bungled it. He's completely made a hash of it.
I mean, he's just down the pawn, so White can just take on b5 and play for a win.
Oh my goodness me! And Shabalov, the experienced grandmaster, with all of that Russian school education, you would have thought he would have cleaned up there, but no. And now Kleinman is thinking, well, I'm going to gain some time on the clock here, put a few checks in. And well,
The
I don't
only
know.
thing that White has to be careful about is some H5 check, Queen H1
Wow.
mate. Like
King G4. I love it. I love King G4. Might not be very good, but I love the
no,
idea.
it's how you play for a win, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Now F5. No, Queen D5. H5 check? King H3. That's what he wants. What about F5 soon? I think like, oh, Queen E5.
Oh,
That's
Queen
class.
E5,
Very
great move.
good. Very, very good.
No, White's
Three.
winning,
Yeah,
and Black's gonna flag.
he's going to flag. He didn't get there.
Oh my god. That is unbelievable. Shabalov was up like a zillion pawns. I tuned back, and all of a sudden he's up 0. In fact, down a pawn. So that is
Can we just like we're going
that
to
is
just have to roll
disturbing.
back here because look at the position. The former US champion. How many times has he won the US championship, Robert?
4 times, 5 times.
Four-time US champion. I mean, he's got a pass pawn on E2. He's got a pass pawn here on A4. This is out. This is just. I've not seen anything quite like that. I have to tell you, for a long, long time. To lose this position is really very remarkable. Has to be said.
It's absolutely shocking.
Shocking, shocking. And
Okay,
what a result that is for the Chess Bros. That isn't worth 1 point. That's worth like 3 points because
Yeah,
not only is he lower rated, but he saved that losing position. So that's a bonus point right there. That means that they draw the first round 2-2, which is great.
2-2.
Yeah.
That's what you call a save. So if they end up, not losing the match and it's close, they have Michael Kleiman to thank for sure. So let's get to some of the other matches. We haven't really looked too deeply at the Minnesota match versus Buenos Aires. And we have, Sean Nagel. He's Greenhaven here on chess.com. He is completely winning against Sandro Moreko. All of a sudden, he has this passed C pawn that is just, you can't even stop him from queening.
Sean Nagel, he looks like my accountant. Is he my accountant?
I believe he is a lawyer.
There we go. I thought he was my lawyer or accountant, one of the two. He does look like, he looks like a guy who has got a nice leather couch at home. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like he's got this horrible, synthetic upholstery stuff. He's got a nice leather couch. And not only has he got a nice leather couch, he's got a completely winning position. Surely with this pawn, how do you stop this pawn from just running down the board?
It doesn't look like you can. In fact, what's interesting was that White was actually down a pawn earlier, and it was this pawn on F4, like this doubled F pawn. So what Nagel did was he just worked around it. He ended up trading a rook on C5 and took on C5 with his D pawn, and all of a sudden that pawn is becoming another queen. So Nagel, you just can't stop this pawn. If you put your queen on C8, like queen D8 to C8, White just goes C7, and then goes queen to D6, and then queen to D8, and just forces your queen off and promotes.
Yeah.
So Nagel is going to win. That is a big. I'm telling you, Minnesota is so dangerous with this very even lineup. All these IMs and these.
Strength in depth, I think, is what they call it. That is underrated. It's all well and good having your superstar on board 1 or your superstar on board 1 and 2, but if you got that strength in depth throughout the side, consistent players, you are a dangerous team in this competition. Queen E6, C7.
Dangerous teams and consistent players. Andrew Tang, that is Penguin GM1.
Yes.
He's playing against Mario Villanueva. So on paper, Villanueva with the white pieces, 2450 about FIDE. He should not be a particular underdog to Andrew Tang, who did just become a grandmaster, is slightly higher rated, but the white pieces you would expect to offset that. But in the position, after rook takes C3, all of White's pieces are just stuck. White can't do anything. That bishop on C2 is just a big pawn. The king on H1 is trapped in the corner. So what in the world can White do after the move rook takes C3? If you go rook D2, Black simply goes queen C5. And the Black king is very safe. The White king is not because it has no moves. And it's just like a, complete, just stuck. You're totally stuck. It's not even Zugzwang. You're just trapped. And that's got to be frustrating when you're only down 1 pawn, and the pawn you're down is an ugly one. So queen C5 here just, lights out.
Yeah.
Who else? can we look at? Because lots of
Well,
interest.
that does look like lights out, doesn't it? Well, Queen E3, Andrew Tang is just going to convert here. Andrew Tang, now, this is a guy who I've had the very unfortunate pleasure, if I can put it like that. Bit of an oxymoron, I know, but I've never been so pummeled in all my life by somebody at Blitz, you know, in any format. He is just a Blitz wizard, this kid. Yeah, I've got points off the best in the world, Carlsen, Nakamura. This kid, I don't think I've ever beaten him. He just annihilates me. He's just so good on 2D, and obviously just got his Grandmaster title, so well worth his weight in salt.
Well, he may have all of those achievements, like you said, but he just made a very bad move with Queen E3 because Queen E3 allowed White to trade the rooks. And yes, Black is definitely still better, but now White's life is so much easier with his bishop coming alive. There's no pressure along the C file. So I think actually he really just botched this up and he's no longer going to win. So, you know, we can sing him all the praise in the world. He did just become a grandmaster before his 18th birthday, I believe. But, I mean, he's not winning this game anymore.
When did you become a grandmaster, Robert? How old were you?
When I was 17.
Wow. Goodness me. What do they put in the water out there? We haven't had a 17-year-old grandmaster since 1982.
Wow, and you know it off the top of your head.
No, that was just me speculating, but I guess it's that. No, I think both Gawain and David did get their GM titles around that age. So, but that was the last time we had a grandmaster in the UK that young. Anyway, let's move to another game.
Where should we move to? Let's see.
Well, we've got, as you said, that Miami versus Montclair Sopranos with barely touched. What about Tennis Master?
So really going to town right now. Although actually, I take that back. Daniel Gurevich lost on time. It looks like in a bad position.
Oh, okay.
Andrew Tang is going to make a draw. So Minnesota will go up 2.5, 1.5 in that match. But just wanted to keep an eye on that. So let's stay in this Miami match. And where can we Miami match? All these other games are kind of boring.
Oh, okay, fair enough. We don't like boring games here at the Pro Chess League.
I certainly don't. We have an end game, but it's just, I mean, do we really want to look at an end game while we have other excitement going on? I doubt it.
No.
So let's check out some of the more exciting chess.
Okay.
Well, let's go to. Nope, that game's not exciting. I was like, oh, these players look great. Let me go there, but for some reason, lots. Okay, let's go to the game between Eduardo Iturrizaga. That is just Iturrizaga versus Advait Patel.
Okay, we will be there shortly. And
Mr. Patel plays for the Sopranos. He's a 15-year-old, I believe, international master. He's very strong. I think his FIDE is now near 2480. I actually played him in the North American Open in Las Vegas in December. And I did win that game, but he's a very strong player indeed. And so in this game with the white pieces,
now, before you carry on there, I am actually struggling to locate that Iturrizaga game.
He's hiding from you. He doesn't want you to.
He's hiding. I've literally not got him here. I've got, if his name is Iturrizaga, yes, he's not coming up here. So let's choose another game for the moment there, Robert.
Okay, let's get out of that one and let's go to, who do we want to go to?
What about Thinking Squares? My boy Renier.
Your boy Renier. Let's go to Renier.
Yeah. Renier Castellanos, my boy, based in Spain, originally from Cuba, and been in Spain for many years. Now playing against the we just saw, Mike Bratin. Is it Bratin?
Yeah. I think so. He's got an A instead of an E. But Mike is just, they just Americanized the hell out of his name.
You guys like to do that, you know? That's your thing.
Terrible. I feel I think it's an injustice. But with the black pieces here, Lawrence, I mean, the bishop on B7 obviously is well placed, staring down the bishop on G2. From White's perspective, you want to think about playing a move like knight to E5, but you really have to weigh the consequences because if you do go knight E5, Black trades off a ton of pieces.
Right.
And, what goes on there?
Well, it's very complicated, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like too much thinking for me right now. I don't want to
So
Okay.
90. Well, he's gone Rook FD1, so he's kept it. So he's very solid player, Renier, very classical, a bit like Cuban school of chess. It's
Let's
it's interesting. They've all got a classical education there. That's for sure. They all like to play very principled chess.
Yeah, I mean, Dominguez is a great example of that.
Yeah.
He plays very, very principled, high-level chess, and you're right. But I want to go to a teammate of Renier, to Michael Kleinman versus a Wonder Liang. That is a Wonder Liang's Red Nova 1729. And things are looking pretty weird already on this board. A Wonder's getting feisty in the opening, and look at Black's king side. That bishop on h7, which is just a ginormous pawn for the time being.
By the way, I found the Azzurri Saga game, which will make you happy. And now I'm looking for Red Nova. And that's not on my menu, huh? Oh, here we go. Right at the bottom. Okay. Kleinman against Liang. Yes. Wow. What a position.
Look at this bishop on h3. So you're saying, okay, you have to go take my knight on e5 if you don't want to just get totally destroyed. Because knight f6, that just probably... Well, I guess you can go knight f6, actually. Because I was going to say bishop e6, but maybe there's some bishop g8 kind of weird defense. But in general, Black is not really getting out of this. White's just going to keep the pressure going. And so no matter what, okay, bishop d7 check is obviously a huge threat. If you take on e5, I take back with a pawn on e5. Now your knight's not getting out. My bishop on h3 still stops you from going e7 to e6 yourself. I mean, White looks to be in great shape for just the cost of one pawn.
Looks amazing for White, this position. Absolutely amazing. And a Wonder Liang. Now, I don't know much about a Wonder because, well, it's a bit of a wonder. Has Danny made these jokes before? I'm sure Danny's made these jokes before. He definitely has. But obviously rated 2550. Already, look what? One of the top players in the US. Barely in his, what is he, about 16 now?
A Wonder is 14, I think.
14!
I believe so.
Outrageous that he can be that good. How far can this kid go? Is there talks of him already being the next Fabiano or Hikaru? What's the consensus over there?
I don't think we have a consensus, and I think that's a very high standard to hold someone to. So I think, for the sake of a Wonder, he should just be a Wonder.
Yeah. I mean, we can all sit back and wonder what will happen.
Well played, sir. Well played.
It's a great name. I mean, it's the marketer's dream, right? Imagine that. You got a kid,
Absolutely.
one of the youngest grandmasters in the world. Imagine he became world champion. The headlines you could write. All right, but in this position, yeah, there's absolutely no wondering to be done. This is clearly better for White, and he's probably gonna convert. Although he's got to be a bit precise. But I guess you can't really go that wrong here with White if you are sensible, because Black just cannot complete development. So maybe he's just going to castle or something, get a rook to the e-file and just say, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
looks very good.
Definitely not a pretty position, that's for sure. And I would hate to have the Black piece in a position like this. You just have no moves. It's terrible.
Yeah. He's put that bishop on e6, Robert. It's so beautiful. You know how you would play that move over the board? It would be one of those ones where you screw it in, right? You screw that bishop into e6. Get it into that square. Meanwhile, I just wanted to point out to everybody who's on Twitch following this and on chess.com/TV, we're not ignoring you. We do see you. We do appreciate you being there. And we are going to do our very best to get some of the best comments up there. I haven't been able to follow, as I'm currently manning about 7 different screens. But for all of you guys trolling, be friendly out there. Be friendly. All right. We all are here for the love of the game. Let's go to another game. Where should we go now? That's the question. Where should we go?
That is a great question. I'm just going to announce a couple of results, and that is that we're looking at Tennis Master and Speed Skater. That was Yunieski Quesada versus Nicolas Checa. And Quesada won that game. And Becerra drew with Baikovsky. That was a game I was talking about that was really boring. It was an end game and nothing could move.
Okay.
Let's actually go over to Lenderman's game.
Mr. Lenderman.
Mr. Lenderman.
Now, what is his?
He is Alexander L, and he is playing as Frolic 67. That's Frolic 67 is Nicholas Rosenthal.
Okay.
As I mentioned in the halftime show, Nicholas Rosenthal beat Maxime Vacher-Lagrave last year.
Amazing.
And he is a board 4 at like 2,100, but clearly a talented speed chess player. And look at the position. Rosenthal with the white pieces has significantly more time, right? 40-second advantage with Lenderman at 33 seconds. And Lawrence, I don't know about you, but I've had positions like this before, and they are just a beast to win from Black's perspective. It takes so much effort. I mean, you have to maneuver around forever and hope that you have enough. And actually, oftentimes you don't, because White Queen, for example, here can just sit on. You have to be careful because you sit on D4, and then Black goes Queen C1 check to Queen F4 check. Right. You might be in big trouble.
Or you might be winning.
Yeah, exactly. You can just come to F3 really quickly.
Exactly.
There's some opportunities there. But what Rosenthal is doing, look, he's just sitting his king and his queen on their square saying, what are you going to do, Lenderman? Where's your infiltration? Are you really going to go king D6 and bring your king in? Well, I mean, you might want to. And, okay, queen C1 check played.
Going to gain some time on the clock here, Alex. He's going to pre-move Queen C1, Queen F4. He's going to put a few of those on the board.
Maybe the Black King's going to go to B5 through C6 is also an idea as well.
Wow. Now that would be very interesting. Careful. Okay, now Queen E5. Nice and centralized. I like that. Covering the only weakness in the position on F6. That's very good. So he's got F6 covered now.
He has F6 covered, but I think he just made his life a little bit more difficult to get in, right? Because now the queen will yo-yo back between C4 and F7. The king going to D6, sure. But then what? I guess you have to go Queen D5 next. Wait a second. Okay, you can't take on B4. That'd be a huge blunder. Queen E1 check.
Let's put that on the board. Let's put that on the board.
Yep, here it comes. King H2. If Queen B4, Queen F8 check would be tragic blunder.
Nasty.
So look at Lenderman repeat the moves and play Queen B5, but there's no threat. Remember, the pawn's not hanging. So Queen H8 here or something like that still is an opportunity for White because you're not actually going to lose your pawn on.
Or you can play Queen F8. Yep.
So Queen E7 check should be played.
No, just King H2. No,
yeah,
just. Or Queen B8. Looks like that's okay as well.
No, I don't like that move though.
No?
Because you're allowing. Exactly. The king is running.
Oh, no. You let the king run. Oh, no. And then B4 is hanging. And now you have to come up with some magic stuff.
Maybe Queen D8. The idea is maybe I have Queen D2 check, kind of a sundial thing.
Yeah, that's nice. Queen D8. That's very, very nice. So
oh, yeah. That would be a draw. Queen takes A5 would be a draw.
That's very nice. We'll just see what Alex does. King A4, that's what I thought he'd do. And now you can go Queen D4. No, you can't go Queen D4. 14 seconds for Rosenthal.
But King H2. The idea is you still can't take on A5.
Or Queen C7. I like that as well. That's still good enough.
I don't. Queen F1 check to F4 check.
Oh, no. He missed it. He missed it.
Wow, he had Queen F1 to F4. Game over.
God, game over immediately. Oh my
okay,
God.
But look at the clock situation. Go Queen D2 check. This is a draw, right? Queen
E2 now. With the king like that, it must be a draw. Yes. Now it's just a perpetual, surely. Queen D2.
I don't know. The king's going to run to A4.
Queen A1.
Queen A1. Oh, don't.
Oh, no. He blundered the pawn.
No, that's so tragic. You were right, though. He had this Queen A2 move. Wait, Queen G5 check. They're both blundering.
Oh, my God. What's going on? Queen F6?
Maybe at some point you even consider G3 and just get that pawn going. Yeah. You don't want your king stuck on the back rank. This is not where your king wants to be.
Yeah, now it does look very, very bad for Nicholas. Let's see. They've both gained a bit of time on the clock. 14 seconds and 10 seconds. Queen B8, King A5. Yeah, now the king.
So Queen B7 check.
Queen C7.
Okay, they're repeating.
Queen C6. Wow,
Letterman's
Queen takes A6.
Exactly.
Wow, he's going to snag that pawn. Look how well Nicholas Rosenthal has played. Look at the rating disparity there. You know, we've got 500 points. I mean,
I feel like this game has been going on for like hours. It's a move 92. This is one of our longest games probably in the Pro Chess League.
Oh, Queen D6 check and Queen D1.
That is game over.
That
And
is
they're
going to
coming
be,
for the ambulance again. They're coming for Rosenthal this time.
yeah, that is unfortunate. Takes is good enough in B3 and the pawn.
Game over. Wow.
Wow, what a fight though by Rosenthal, and well done to Lenderman as well for sticking in there and proving that he's a grandmaster for a good reason.
That was a pretty epic game, honestly.
Yeah,
Like so many errors, but also just a lot of strong play as well. So that was really cool to see. And what other games do we have here? So lots of games. Okay.
we've got like
Webster St. Louis
20
match
games.
is whoa, what is that? Varuj Jacobian delivered checkmate against Talia Cervantes.
Okay.
So that game is now officially over.
What about Aman?
Where's Aman? Let's check
Aman
him
is
out.
playing Shabalov here, so this is
That's
really...
my favorite game. I don't want to go to any other game. Thank you for reminding me. So Aman with the black pieces.
Yes.
And Shaba with white. So what's going on here? Material count is black is up a pawn, but white is safely castled for now, and black may not have the same ease with castling.
Wow, he can castle queenside. This looks like a fantastic position for Aman. Looks much better for black to my eyes, and he has just castled queenside, and I don't see the compensation here at all for white, Robert.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I was thinking bishop a5, but I was hoping you'd go bishop b6. The point being that I can take on b6 and queen e4, threatening queen a8 check and attacking the pawn on g4, and even still there, black is better. But after bishop a5, you can just you can just move your rook away. You don't have to play bishop b6. So
rook d8, for example, and
exactly. So white is definitely in trouble.
Big trouble here for Shabalov, but he's a very resourceful player, isn't he, Alexander? He some of the most spectacular victories, in US chess has come from Shabalov attacking displays and resourcefulness.
And Lawrence, we'd be wrong not to mention the clock situation. Aman down to 2.5 essentially. Shaba at 10:44. Yes. So that you need the clock in a position like this.
Absolutely, that is a huge factor here. And after a move like d6, he's going to park the bishop on g3, and I think he's going to try and get in a very quick c4 if he can. Rook h5, good move by Aman. Very good move.
So what about bishop g3 here? What's his idea to go rook
maybe
d5?
He's just going to go, I don't know, does he want to go
rook f5?
Rook f5 to go to f3.
Because I'm always worried about going rook d5 because queen h7 is going to be a bit annoying. Oh, I do not like that move. Now queen f3 looks pretty good.
Queen e2 is really odd. Yeah, queen f3 is... Queen f3 is just the end of the game, isn't it? Because I attack your queen, I attack your bishop, and if you take, I take back. Then your bishop's on pre, you have to move it, and then I park the rook on f5, and, this is a dream position for Aman. Absolute dream. The Bras are going to be very happy if Aman pulls out a win here. And they are currently 3-2 up. This would be a big win. This would be a really big win if Aman
Can we go to Forrest Chen? Wow. Forrest Chen against Alex Shamanov. Shamanov's handle is Shamanov Alex. And this dude, Forrest Chen, he drew Corey with white.
Yeah.
And look at his position with black right now.
Oh, my goodness. Winning.
Well, I don't know if he's winning. I wouldn't go that far, but he's definitely. I definitely don't think he should be losing. That's for sure.
Is this like the best ever 2100 to have in the Pro Chess League? This is insane. The Archbishop's just
Rosenthal. So far, it seems like this guy's putting up a good fight. And speaking of Corey, we got to go to Corey's game. He has 10 seconds left against Yaroslav Zherbuk. That's Machu Picchu 10. And it's a 2-bishop ending. I guess it's just a draw, so maybe it's not that exciting. But I saw the time on the clock. I really got ahead of myself there and was like, time, Corey's going to lose, but this is such a dead draw that I think it's not even worth
well, maybe it's not such a dead draw. I mean, it is a draw, but if the king comes in and can kind of sneak round to b4, just slowly comes up the board. I mean, I would definitely take black.
He's going to c4 quicker, so
possibly. He's played bishop d5 to go bishop c4 check. I like this. King comes to f3 or e3. King f7. Now the bishops are dominating the king. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's no chance here. So okay, that game is gonna
okay,
end in a draw unless something absolutely crazy happens.
okay.
Um, who else is playing? We haven't seen some of these games. Okay, I don't know why Amon is playing time. A Wonder Liang's position is just, oh my God. I can't even imagine a better position.
Okay, let's go back there. We already
Oh my,
has.
oh
He
my. I mean, Lawrence,
is.
I'm usually a pretty calm guy, but if you look at the position that a Wonder Liang has right now after moving
Yeah.
King to D2, oh my God. The Queen on B2 is just going to be attacked by Rook B1. There's no development whatsoever.
This is a disaster. This is an absolute disaster for black. King D2. Just.
Oh man, that's rough.
I mean, kids at home, this is why we say get your pieces out. Move your pawns towards the center. Get your pieces out. Do not go out too early with your queen, because you end up in positions like this where you're completely stuck. You're almost in Zugzwang here with black.
Well,
I mean, this is just...
absolutely, Lawrence. And another one to show you the same lesson is Mauricio Flores
Yes.
with the white pieces against Mario Villanueva. And you're going to laugh when you see the position.
Okay, let's go there.
Black's
Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness. Somebody call an ambulance, because Mario is, you know, it's like, I guess the feeling he's experiencing now is a bit like, you know, when you're trapped in a lift and, you know, you're pressing the alarm button and it's not moving and help, help. That's the position. It's just, you're stuck. You can't move. Nobody's coming to help you, and you're stuck. And the worst thing is you're not in the lift with, you know, your average supermodel. You're stuck in there with your likes of Danny Wrench or you know, or Ben Feingold, and wishing, why me? But at least he's done some. Well, he's going to give up an exchange, so he's just admitted that, you know, giving up an exchange is worth it.
Lawrence, we're gonna have to get rid of our fun here and go over to Robson and Fedoseev.
Ray Robson and Fedoseev. Okay.
They have both are under 11 seconds left. Or I guess Fedoseev just built up some time, and now it's an ending. Okay, it looks like black is going to hold the draw, but they both have no time whatsoever.
Can you give me the moniker of Ray Robson again? Because
it's Ray Robson.
Just Ray Robson.
Yeah, and it looks like their game's about to fizzle.
Is it fizzling? Oh yeah. That's a fizzle.
It was okay. Really heating up a second ago, then it fizzled too quickly. So we're gonna have to get back to other games because. Whoa. Okay, let's go to the game between Yaroslav Zerbuk and Jorge Corey, because
I'm there. Wow.
That is a draw.
Is it?
But wait a second. No.
Why is it a draw? It looks like a dead win for black.
No. You can't lose the tempo for black.
Ah, instructive, guys. Instructive.
Because now you essentially, what white does is follow the king, right? King C1. Now that king A1 is in play, and if you ever go A3, then your king is permanently trapped in there. And now the game is drawn by repetition. But the point was,
let's demonstrate that. Yeah,
can sacrifice the pawn F4, but after you take on F4, G takes F4. Black goes A3, and then white just sacrifices the pawn right back with F5 and moves the second pawn to F4. So that game would have been a draw. So
very instructive.
Our buddy Forrest Chen lost on time.
Oh no!
Forrest. Run, Forrest! No, he couldn't make it. He
oh no!
Okay, Amon Hamilton down to 10 seconds left.
Let's go there.
So he's up a pawn in a rook ending, but all of a sudden Shabalov has this passed B pawn that if Amon is not careful about, can start running real fast. So there it's starting, pawn on B4. Although now rook F4 seems to be really strong.
Yeah, I was just thinking of rook F4, and I don't know why he played rook F1. Still should be okay.
The pawn. Now, so now what does white do? Look at the time differential. What is going on?
What is going on here? It's crazy. So what's the idea? If king C5, which looks
like... Rook F4 now. You have to go rook F4. And if B5, rook C4 checkmate. What a hilarious...
Wow, that's what Aman had planned, actually. He actually provoked king C5. That's very clever. Okay, well, now Shaba has to try
But what if he just brings his king back to b5?
Yeah, I
Then
think he has to. He has no other useful move.
I guess black is going to rook c4 and then king d6 or something like that. Or start with king d6.
Rook
And then just push the
C4.
central pawns.
Yeah. And I guess he's going to go king a5 here. There's no other useful move. You got to go king a5.
And 3 seconds left for Aman. So
Yeah.
he's getting really low on the clock.
Just go king a5 and try and get b5 in. Yeah, and he's done it.
You
King
got
c.
to flag the guy.
Yeah, and if b5 check here,
So b5, maybe king c5.
probably king b7 is good, but king c5, and if I go b6,
Then rook b4. I track you
rook
down.
b4, and then I'm trying to see if I can use my rook. Okay, so b5, king c5, rook f2, played f5, very quickly, rook e2. Ah, this was better, but now rook e4, surely. Well, king d6, now
No,
I go b5.
Yeah. So
Okay, now I go, now at least I have some counterplay. b6, I mean, it's not much.
so f3. Oh,
Whoa,
okay.
rook c8 looks terribly passive.
Wait, so rook g2 here or b7 first?
b7 and rook b8, king b6.
But I can't count. I think his idea is to sack the rook and then move the pawns. But who's okay? F3,
e5, c4. Oh no!
Wow.
Aman!
No, he's
No,
going.
Aman, what have you done,
Oh my
buddy?
God, Shaba's gonna win. C7.
Say
No,
s-
not C7.
No,
rook B2. Plenty
He's
of
got
time.
time. He's got 6 minutes. He needs to think here. He needs to
Wow.
think.
Wow.
What
Wow.
has he done? Aman,
Wait, so-
what did you do, buddy?
Okay, so rook B2, black goes E2, and then white goes C7. So at the very least, white will be up a rook there.
Yes.
So that's for starters. Rook D1 was also possible.
f2, c7, you're right.
Yeah, so white's going up a rook in this endgame.
Well, I mean, and it's just should be easily winning because black doesn't even have a good check here.
Well, queen F7 check was possible, but
But now d4. Now the king is open. I don't know. Queen takes g. No.
queen E8 check. Lawrence, always give checks.
Always give check. Queen e8 check. That's a great check because if he goes to the f-file, you give a check on the f-file, you win the queen. And if he goes to d5, you've got rook b5 check, king c4, and queen c6 check. So let's
Actually, Lawrence, start with queen C6 check,
Oh yeah.
queen
you're
E8
right.
check,
Yeah.
King D5, queen C6,
And rook b5 and
rook B5, and then the
it's
king
game
is
over.
forced to go to F4, where queen F6 check picks up the queen on F1.
Absolutely. That's it. And he's played queen e8, and Aman is not surviving this. And Shaba will find queen c6.
So, oh, what?
Oh, queen
I guess
d6.
it probably doesn't matter,
Well,
but
he'll take on g4 with check now.
you know what's amazing, Lawrence, is
Yeah.
that Shaba was completely winning in the first game and then lost that somehow, and then was totally busted in this game and won. So this is the kind of player Shabalov is. For those of you who don't know, the legend, 4-time U.S. chess champion, he just plays such exciting chess, and just like he did right now, he sometimes wins magically.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Aman will be seething with anger for losing that one. He'll be very, very angry with himself because he had everything under control and he allowed this c4 move here. I mean, it was, if we just shoot back a few moves to around here very, very quickly, it was this move here. He played e5. For a start, he let this king get in. Rook c8 is a terrible move. There's absolutely no reason to play rook c8 here. He should just be going with his own pawns. He should be playing f3 and e5, because if ever b7, we just come back with our king to c7. And if the king goes to a4, we give check on a4. Rook c8 was the start of all of his troubles. And then, you know, he fell for this c4 idea. And then all of a sudden, look how quickly Shabalov's pawns got up the board. Incredible. And a very, very disappointing loss there for Aman.
Just wow. I mean, that's all I can say about that. So let's try to figure out where we're jumping to next, because I mean, we've had a lot of excitement thus far. I'm pumped up.
I'm pumped. We're getting to the halfway stage as well in some of the matches, which is great. So just looking at the scores here, if we do a quick roundup of the scores, very, very obviously standout match of the division this week has to be the Windmills against the St. Louis Archbishops. That is tight
Oh.
as you can be. 4.5, 3.5. St. Louis edging it at the moment. The Chessbrahs against Pittsburgh, 4-3. So all to play for there.
No, make that 5-3 because Mika Bratton won on time in a winning position. He was checkmating Renier Castellanos, who is not doing very well right now, it seems like.
Renier, okay. All right, so that's 5-3. So Pittsburgh putting some distance there between themselves and the Montreal Chessbrahs. Buenos Aires Krakens trailing Minnesota, and Montclair Sopranos trailing Miami by a point. So, still lots to play for. Where are we going next?
Why don't we go to Mauricio Flores' game? Because we saw it earlier. We were making fun of Black's absolutely horrid position. And if we look down the H file, it's not looking much better at the moment. So it looks like checkmate should occur at some point. And in fact, I think I have a nice looking checkmate idea. And I'm not sure. I totally was going to cheat and make a move like queen takes g6 at some point. But there's a pawn on e4.
Right, but what you could do, Robert, here is you've got a sneaky little idea of going queen to b3, followed by a swingaroo over to h3, and then queen down to h8. And what do you do against that one? Because
resign.
You could always resign. That does make my job a lot easier. Also with queen b3, you've got ideas of bishop takes f7 check, queen takes f7, and then rook down to h8. And if king to g7, then you've got rook down to h7. With that overloading of the king, winning the queen, which would also win the game. d6 would then fall. So queen d3 has been played. Similar idea. I preferred it on b3, but not going to be picky. And now it just looks busted here for Mario. I don't see a way for him to continue.
I agree with you. And let's go over.
Yep.
That about to finish. Let's go over to your lawyer, Sean Nagel, with the black pieces against Andres Carlos Obregon. So
okay, he is Greenhaven, right? Sean Nagel, my accountant in the house. And
look at that last move, knight b6 to d5. Lots of pieces under attack on pre, but that's a good-looking move because
looks fantastic,
right? I mean, when I see a position like this, Lawrence, I look at the pawns on d4, e5, and f4, and say, you know what? My bishop on g7 may be blockaded for now, but the light squares, especially that d5 square, is completely blacked. And at some point, Black will try to get that bishop out of g7. It can go e6 and put the bishop on f8, or try to play for the move f6 at some point. So I'm really liking Sean Nagel's position. This guy is, he's
a fantastic player. Let's make no mistake. He is a really strong player. And Obregon here, I don't like White's position one bit. I mean, if he takes on d5, I take with the knight. He moves the bishop to d2, somewhere passive. I can take on e2. And then here, I mean, Black's just got one of these ideal positions. I can play e6. I can take on e5 and play e6. Or I can even exchange rooks on c1 and then play e6. And Black is basically saying my knight on d5 trumps everything here. Solid, no threat to the king, and long term the bishop on g7 is also very good when it can snake out via f8. So I really dislike White's position. He has gone bishop d2. So the question is, what's the right way round to do this? I guess I would be taking on c3 here first, is my impression.
What's kind of funny is I'm getting some beef in the Twitch chat.
Yes.
Because of the way I say Castellanos. And the reason why I say it like that is actually out of loyalty to my roommate who's from Argentina.
Oh.
And like quesadilla would be how people usually say it, at least from what I've heard, but he says quesadilla. So people who say I don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you need to expand your experience.
Oh, Robbie Hiss! Robbie Hiss with the dialectic knowledge there.
It's just a little bit. It just bothers me that I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm not trying to.
I agree.
I don't want to call people out in the chat, but it's just like I'm not being stupid. I just some people pronounce things differently, just like English words are pronounced differently depending on where you're from. So back to the chess itself.
There you go, boys and girls. You just got lit up by Robbie Hess, who dropped a
Yeah,
bit of
so
Argentinian dialect on you. How about
yeah,
that?
and considering that these players are from Buenos Aires or playing for Buenos Aires, I thought it would be appropriate to use the Argentine pronunciation. So
I
back to
love
chess.
Robbie Hess. Back to the chess. Okay, where do you want to go next?
Looking at the time situation, it looks like nobody's in humongous time trouble. The game we're on. Oh, let's go to Daniel Gurevich. That is Warm Paka versus
Yep.
Sandro Mareko. And somehow Black has 13 seconds left in this position. And it's very, very tricky because knight f4 is a great move. Opening the queen up to the g2 pawn,
Wow,
checkmate
great
ideas.
move. Yeah.
And in fact, Black has now turned the tables, I feel like, because after pawn takes f4, bishop takes d4, the pawn on b2, of course, will be hanging. The pawn on f2 would be target. And now just bishop takes d4. This would make Shereshevsky proud. I don't know, for those of you out there who've read Endgame Strategy by Mikhail Shereshevsky, he loves positions like this. You'll see good knight against struggling bishop. The pawn on d4 is lost. So not only does Black have a knight, Black will go up a pawn as well. So
yeah, Mikhail Shereshevsky. Get his books, guys. Get the old classics, Shereshevsky. Get your Dvoretsky's. Get your Yusupovs and the rest of it, because these guys really did put the methodologies that we use for our training on the map. And Bobby Hess, drop in the Spanish knowledge, drop in the old school Russian chess school knowledge. You guys should be just honored to be in the company of Robert Hess today.
Well, I got on the chess bros bad side last time. At least I have Argentina behind me. I see some people from Argentina in the chats, both in Chess TV and in the Twitch chat. So, glad to meet all of you. And I'm, happy to be just commentating in general. But in particular, I like the Argentine team. As I said, my roommate, who I've lived with since college, is from Argentina. So anyway, back to the chess. I keep getting distracted. 8 seconds left, 9 seconds now in this game. And Black is much, much better, Lawrence, of course. But converting this tends not to be easy, especially when your opponent has nearly 5 minutes more than you do. That said, I think Black is doing an excellent job right now of putting that knight on f6. Okay, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
I would say, Lawrence, a big issue, right, for Black is getting this king off the back rank, because with the current structure, the h7 is the only free square off the back rank. And if that bishop gets on, let's say, on d3 or on c2, well, that check is going to either force you to play g6, which you don't want to play, or just push you to the back rank. So ideally, from Black's point of view, you'll do something to get that king out, but I'm not really seeing an easy way, because if you ever go queen d4, I can just trade on d4, give you a check on the back rank, and I'm just not seeing how Black makes progress in a position like that. So it's very difficult to win.
It's very, very difficult. I think stage one is getting the queens off. That always makes you feel a lot easier. If you had an ending rook and knight versus rook and bishop here, your king could sneak out by f8, e7. Your knight does a great job of just covering the king side there. And I think you'd have good chances. You might also be, Black might be thinking, well, why am I going to be so passive? Why aren't I just going to go rook d3 and try and cut white in half along the third rank here? But he plays queen d3 instead. Oh, maybe his idea, does he want to go queen f5? Surely not. Surely that's not the idea.
If it is the idea, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, I didn't understand. I haven't understood his maneuvering just yet. Maybe he's just trying to get a bit of time on the clock. He's put the queen on a nice central square, though. I like that. Rook d2, rook b2.
Oh, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Whoa! Be careful. It doesn't.
He's okay. Rook f8. Oh no, he's not okay. What has he done? He's completely blown it.
Rook b3, rook b2, and
make a draw. That's very sad. Maybe he's not going to make a draw. Maybe he's going to be so steamed he wants more.
I just don't see how to play for more, because
you can attack b5.
But then I take on f7.
You have rook b5. I mean, you take on f7. I take on h5. Yeah, and it's a draw. Yeah, that's unfortunate for Daniel. But as you said, very, very difficult to convert, practically speaking.
So how is our buddy Sean Nagel doing?
let's go back to Sean Nagel, aka Greenhaven.
Well,
Well,
don't. What's
maybe
that?
he's just the best player in the world. I don't know. Maybe he decided to be a lawyer just because,
Wait a
he need.
second. Isn't that Rook on B5 just trapped over
It's
there?
dead. He's the best player in the world. I told you. He is
Wow,
the best player I've ever seen.
that
And
is.
Rook E7 is perfect. Rook E7, Rook C7,
And look
and
at the
White
clock
is
situation.
toast.
Sean Nagel.
Toast.
Look at this guy go.
It's
Rook C6, Knight
unbelievable.
A7, right?
Yeah, Rook
Rook
C6,
C6.
Knight A7 is just end of game.
That's
Resigns.
a free
Oh,
rook.
he missed
No,
it.
play it next move. He's time.
Play it now. Do it. Oh no! He just wants to bring the king in. Also, probably just wins. Oh no, but wait. Wait. Knight
Rook
C2.
takes
Bishop.
knight. Rook takes C2. Take that knight and
Ah, Rook takes C2. Bobby Hess.
just take
And
it.
King C6.
He's gonna see it. He's gonna see it.
He's gonna
Also,
see
he can.
this.
Yes.
He did it. That's very nice. That's beautiful, actually. That is really, really beautiful. Well done. And
Oh,
yeah,
this. So I've known of Nagel just because he played in the U.S. Chess League, and if you know John Bartholomew, he's spoken very highly of Sean Nagel, who was in Minnesota there wasn't much competition for many
Right.
years because it was Bartholomew, and then it was a big fall off. But Nagel was been around for a long time. I think he got his international master title late in life, and as you can see here, he just provided a master class over a grandmaster. So that was awesome. Let's go over to Andrew Tang, Penguin GM1, who has 13 seconds left to
that's an eternity for him, isn't it?
Della Morte's 30 seconds. So
I'm going to try and get his game up straight away if I can locate the Mr. Penguin GM.
and I can hardly understand what's going on here because opposite color bishops, even material for the moment. I think white, Andrew Tang is much better. Well, now he's up a pawn. But I was going to say he's much better because his king is a lot safer. That king on E8 is not, it's kind of scary in that placement because at some point F5, F6 even threatens an F7 check. The coordination of black's pieces is not nearly as good. Look at the knight on D4 and the bishop on E5, right? Those are perfectly placed pieces, lords. And so F5 here is certainly tempting, or A5. You can play on both sides of the board.
F5 has been played, Robert. Yeah. Rook B2
So-
check, King H3. Now using that pawn to block. Rook F2, King
Whoa,
G4.
whoa! I don't know. I don't like that move.
Well, Rook F1.
What is going on here?
Well, I mean, he's just saying, well,
Wait,
I'm going to
isn't
put.
bishop takes F5 check, knight takes F5 and H5 check, distracting the king away.
Wow,
So I think
that was
both make that tactic.
extremely strong. That was an extremely strong tactic, Robert. Now he's going to hide on H7. Nicely done.
But knight
Andrew
G5
Tang.
check. Ooh, okay.
Okay, H5 also. Knight G5 check looked. Okay,
Wasn't knight
well,
G5 check to F7 just looking kind of appetizing? Now
yeah,
knight G5 check again.
he
No.
took, and now Knight G5 check. Now he's
Yeah,
going
but
to do it.
no, but this is bad. Knights are terrible against outside pawns.
That's true, but he can sack it. He can play. No, he had the chance to. Oh no, he didn't. But
What is going? It's Rook B7. That you can't stop that pawn. Rook B7.
Rook
Okay.
A8.
It doesn't matter. He'll go A7.
Whoa! What is this?
King C6, Rook E7.
King C8 or King Bishop
What?
D6?
Rook A1 now. Oh, that hangs the. I'm hanging my knight. So
No, that's
at some
okay.
point- oh yeah, Rook A.
That was okay. Rook A1. He's missed it
Yeah,
again.
This is a very very
Oh,
instructive.
Knight F5 check was in the air. So now Knight F5 anyway.
Whoa.
A7. Rook A1.
Rook But now you take on D6. No longer is white winning because knight takes
That's
D6.
true. Knight takes D6 and Rook B8 and Knight C8. Whatever
yeah.
you want to do, and it should be a draw.
Wow.
He is going to play on. Now, what will be really interesting is if we get a Rook versus King and Rook versus Knight. Now, believe it or not, Robert, for all of the people watching this, all of my students in the US, I've just gone over this endgame today about how to draw this position. So it's going to be really interesting to see if German, German, as it should be pronounced, is going to make a draw here. Now, very simple. If Andrew Tang manages to get this king to the corner, which is already very difficult, there's a very specific technique, and I'll be glad to display my endgame prowess, Robert, if we do indeed get there. So let's see if Andrew Tang manages to cause any problems here and get this king to the corner. Also, the other important thing is you want to keep the knight very close to the king. If that knight gets separated, it's a very big problem because the knight can sometimes just be uh, uh, captured. It can be corralled if it's very far from the king. But Germán doing a very good job at the moment.
Yeah, and for a player of international master, player of his strength, it should be very, very straightforward to make a draw. But it is instructive for those of you who are not so familiar with this end game. As Lawrence just said, very important is to keep the knight close to the king. And not only does it keep the knight protected, but it actually keeps the enemy king from kind of approaching. So look at that knight on e4. It stops the king from coming to d6 or to c5, and thus keeps the king at arm's length away. So it's a very good defensive setup. And so I'm just going to look around just to see, while we keep looking at this ending, just see if there's anything else that's kind of has to be looked at right away. But it doesn't quite look like it, though. Okay, it looks like Eduardo Iturrizaga, he just won. He beat Nicolas Checa.
Okay.
So that is not good for Montclair. Montclair has struggled thus far. And in fact, Unievski Quesada is up a pawn against Advait Patel. So
we're now getting into dangerous territory for Germán. I think a move like knight c3 there, if I could just back up, would be a huge mistake on account of rook c4. And this is what I was talking about, guys. If you start getting this knight far away from this king, because knight d5, rook e4 check would have won the knight. And if the knight goes to e2, rook e4 check also wins. And then suddenly this knight is really short of squares. So he did well to play knight c3. Let's return to the game. And the knight is still, I mean, it's still a draw. It's still a draw. But Andrew Tang making Germán work for it. And I guess there'll be a 50 move rule shortly. And we're going to see if Germán check.
That was a very instructive point, Lawrence, by the way, that knight c3, rook c4. That was that's the way to lose it. That's
the way to lose this position, absolutely. It'd be really cool if he did get him to the corner and whether he knew how to defend it if he's in the corner here, because it's very counterintuitive, actually, guys. It's very counterintuitive. So
yep. And he's showing very good technique.
Yeah.
Just putting his pieces back, not blundering anything. Okay, Andrew Tang is trying to gain another file, but he went to e6 rather than g5. But again, knight next to king is always the way the position should be. Keep it safe and sound.
Yeah, this is great. Great technique by Germán. And Andrew Tang is just not getting anywhere at the moment. He's just not making any inroads whatsoever. King e5 is very good. King back to e6. Knight d7, they're saying in the chat, lol. But the knight was pinned, guys. Sorry. Andrew did not blunder that. The knight was pinned, so it didn't work. And knight c5. King c6. Yeah, and I know we're just looking at this, guys, but we will just force this one out. And it was 50 moves. So as you can see, great technique there by Germán. Keep that knight and king together and keep them in the center of the board, and you will be doing just right. Okay, where else to go now?
Robert. I don't want to go there. I was going to make an announcement that in St. Louis versus Webster, Fedorsev with the white pieces, Drew Shimanov with black. A pretty quick draw, 21 moves, but everything was being traded, so an even matchup there. What's the score of that match? I've kind of
4.5, 3.5 to the Archbishops.
Okay, so it's probably now 5-4 for the Archbishops, but let's see. Where do we want to go?
Indeed, 5-4 has just been updated. There you go.
Okay, let's go to Ray Robson as white versus Forrest Chen. Unfortunately for Forrest, he's played some good chess thus far, but he's about to get mated by Ray Robson.
And Ray's name is...
Ray Robson.
Ray Robson. And... yeah, here we go.
So that's very shortly. I mean, just queen f7 here, probably follow it up with knight takes f6, or just, I don't really see how you're getting out of that.
Are there any queen f7, queen e1 ideas there, Robert? So if Queen F7, maybe I can go Queen A1 check, King. Let's go Queen C1 check. Makes a lot more sense. King H2 and Queen E1. Is that? But then just Queen takes F6.
Or well, Queen F8 check, and then Knight takes F6 check, and then Queen goes
Yeah.
over to H.
That's very nice. So Queen E1, check, check, and mate. Very nice, Robert. Very, very nice indeed.
Yep. But yeah, it's I don't know. I think that Ray's taking his time. He should finish this off soon. I'm just trying to check to see if there are any games. All right. I'm sorry to jump all over the place.
Yes.
But
You jump, young sir.
Let us jump to the game between Talia Cervantes and Yaroslav Zverev. So staying within the same match.
Okay. And I'm just
wow, Talia Cervantes, I'm telling you, she's clearly improving. She's down on the clock right now, but her position is she's up a pawn, has the two bishops, and it looks like they've repeated the moves bishop b7 and queen to b5.
I'm just trying to locate that one there, Robert. Just give me a second. Because we have got 20 or so games running simultaneously. And
yeah, I know. The list starts piling up. You're following all these games.
Indeed.
Cruel Yara is the...
Here we go. Yeah, so right at the bottom of my list. All right, so Talia Cervantes with white here. And no pushover, is she? My goodness.
So yeah, so black was just playing bishop b7, white had gone queen b5, then bishop a6 back. So they'd repeated that position. And now bishop d3. So of course black, that's Yaroslav Zverev, grandmaster, very strong, had a great performance in the U.S. Championship. He beat Fabiano Caruana. But in this current position, I mean, he is down a pawn. So the moment a move like e4 has to be tempting, just blasting open the position. Alternatively, bishop b2, right? Just bring my queen back to safety, either to c3 or c1, bring my knight to b3. I'm not too unhappy. So e4 looks very, very tempting here, right? I mean, why not blast that position open? So really, Talia Cervantes, here's the moment where she should not spend too much time. She needs to calculate for sure, but you can't get down, let's say under 2 minutes left, your opponent's higher rated, stronger player, and the position is complicated. So right now is the time to make a move.
Indeed, guys. And I believe I have got a little slide up here for you guys just to slightly give you guys a bit more of an overview of the competition as a whole. Of course, this is the Pro Chess League, its second season, and this is a breakdown of the prizes that you can see here. We're talking about serious bucks. This is not a laugh. This is serious business. $20,000 first prize for the team that is victorious. Second place is $10,000 with a cool $4,000 for third and $2,000 for fourth. And what we've got is also a bunch of other top prizes, including top female player, MVP prizes, and best weekly game and best move of the week as well, which are all done via a voting system. And then there's even an all-star game, and this is the one I like, Robert. 5,000 big ones for the best game of the competition, as well as various social media prizes as well. So we've got just tons of great stuff going on here at the Pro Chess League. Let's go back. Okay, so we've had some movement here.
Yeah, they traded on F1, it looks like.
They have traded, indeed.
And I'm not sure I love taking on F1 with the knight, because that allows the black knight to jump into E4. And black did do that. So maybe knight D2, actually. Maybe I invite the knight to... Okay, that move I don't like. So I was going to say, from white's point of view, you go knight D2 immediately, you try to trade knights, and here comes another ambulance. So people...
We can hear that ambulance. What's going on over there? Well, you're in New York. It's not such a surprise, is it?
No, not at all. But I guess I didn't even realize how close the hospital is if this ambulances are always coming by, which is great for me in case something happens, but not great, obviously, that something keeps happening. But I don't know. I still like Talia's position, maybe F3 here, kick that knight out. I'm worried about the knight eventually coming to C4, including right now, maybe especially right now.
Well, yeah.
But okay, white's still solid, right? If you play what's the threat for black? I don't see a direct threat. So you can play f3 here, but ultimately the knight's going to reinforce the other one on d6, and so you don't even want to trade knights because then the knight will overpower the bishop. So yeah, just take on d2 of your Yarrow, put the other knight on c4. White is up a pawn and has to play for e4 probably, but the knight is definitely full compensation for the cost of the pawn.
Yeah, I would agree. But you know what? These are the sorts of positions, Robert, that I think, the top players, they really manage to outplay their opponents somehow from here. And I don't know why. We do know why that is. Of course, we know why that is because that's why they're top players, right? In any case. Let's see.
While you're speaking of top players, I think we should jump over to Awonder Liang versus Robin van Kampen.
That sounds like a great shout. Let's go to Awonder Liang versus Robin van Kampen. And Awonder against my boy Kempsey.
This is not looking good for your guy here. In fact,
oh my God.
Awonder, I think, maybe misplayed a little bit. He just took on g4 a couple moves ago. And I thought queen e4 right away was probably even more powerful, but there's nothing wrong with what he did. He took a knight on g4.
Queen e4 immediately. Okay. So takes, and now queen e4. Mm-hmm.
Well, I just think rook b8, you sacrifice the piece. And if there's no immediate checkmate, then perhaps black can gain enough compensation, though after queen takes g6 check also, this is just nasty. I mean, look how many pawns does white have?
Well, it is getting a lot of pawns, but is it so clear, Robert? I mean, it doesn't look like the end of days. And with two bishops, you never know. If you get active, especially along the long diagonal, if you get active along this diagonal here with your dark squared bishop, is it really so bad? I mean,
how are you getting that bishop out, though? That's my question.
That is a good point. I mean, I guess I have to go rook b. Maybe rook a7 here is also interesting to cover along here.
I think you just take on g6. And white's plan is the same almost no matter what. I'm going to take on g6.
Queen g7.
Queen g7. And then I'm going to put my queen on maybe back to e4, maybe my queen on h5. And then I'm going to take on g5, and I'm just going to try to mate you.
Right. So after queen e4, I'm going to go, for example, queen h7.
Queen h7. Can I just keep gobbling pawns? I take on e5?
And but this is... Well, yeah, I mean, you can, but this is where I start getting mildly, not excited, but certainly, my bishops can start working. If I go bishop g7, you take on g5 with the rook. Maybe I go king h8. I mean, I'm just trying to get something going for me here.
You're not wrong at all. And in the current position is the ugliest pawns I've ever seen in my life.
And he did go rook a7. So let's see what RVK has got up his sleeve here. Queen g6 has been played. Queen g7 as expected. And as you said, queen h5 or queen e4 most likely to be played here by Awonder.
Okay. So...
Meanwhile, we're just going to have a quick overview as well of the map. Just very, very quickly here, interjection, Robert. For all of you who have just tuned in, firstly, welcome. You're late to the party. Been a bunch of games already today, not just in this division, but previously. You'll be able to watch the Roundup show after today's round, however. What I wanted to show you guys about the Pro Chess League is just where this is being played. We've got it all over the world, from the West Coast right down to Australia. 32 teams, some of the best players in the world representing in this truly, first ever, truly global online chess league with serious prizes to boot. So I just wanted to show you guys as well exactly, you can see the pins there, the different divisions, Central, Asian, Atlantic, sorry, I should say Eastern Division rather than Asian, Atlantic, and Pacific divisions there. All right, let's go back to the chess, Robert.
Yeah, let's go to Talia Cervantes versus Cruel Yarrow.
Let's do it.
She's down to 7 seconds, but her position has gotten better, and she's been very accurate over the last, 10 moves or so. All of a sudden, she's gaining a bit of steam here. There's a knight on e4 that looks dangerous, especially with this pawn coming to h4. But she's been, like I said, she's been very, very accurate. least for the time being. So this move, king to h1, a very good move, saying if you're going to
She
h4,
has got the goods. I'm telling you, this young lady here is really something. She is really something. Moves like king h1, this kind of feel for getting out of danger at this age, it's very impressive.
Absolutely. And, she's okay. She's spending too much time, you could say, but she's spending the right amount of time because she's a very good position against a very, very strong player. And right now, it's actually, I think, in some ways, hard for black to play because that rook on b7 is tied down to the pawn on c7. So you just take on h4.
I like that. Perfect move. Take on h4.
So now the g file, does that help black or white? Right? If you take
I like
the rook
it
on
for white.
h4, then rook g1's coming. So maybe black just start queen e7, trying to take on h4 with the queen. But after queen e7, maybe white can try something like bishop c3, trying to snake that bishop into e1 and, holding the g3 square down. Then bring your rook back to c2 and over to g2. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of defensive resource here. Actually, queen e7 may just rook c2 right away.
I like that move more, Robert. After queen e7, rook c2, you cover the second, you cover any knight f2 ideas. And, after queen takes h4, black has got maybe one threat with knight g3 check, but maybe we can just cover with rook g2 or rook g1 here and say we ain't scared of nothing. And that is what's happened, Robert. Queen e7, rook c2, queen h4. So now she's going to have to cover g3 here. She's going to have to put a rook on g. I like rook g2. Rook f1, knight g3 check. No!
Well, also rook g1, I think, was still losing because c6 or something like that by black. You just swing the other rook over and you're still going to get in trouble. But this is, of course, that's
But at least that was a bit more tenacious, right?
Woo! Woo!
Well, that's
she really played well, though.
Amazing performance. Thus far by Talia.
Oh my gosh! And Akobian won his game where Corey had 1 second left. Akobian checkmates Corey. We didn't really get to look at that game.
Okay.
We were hopping around a lot, and so Varujan Akobian checkmates Jorge Corey. And that means that what's going on in this Webster-St. Louis match, is it tied? I've kind of lost track of the score.
It was 5-4. We're going to wait for the updated scores to come through here just to get confirmation. But it was 5-4 as we passed the halfway point. And we're going to get confirmation of that. It was 5-4. So let's see. The Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers still with a serious advantage against the Montreal Chess Pros, 5-3. And the Blizzards are now blazing. Buenos Aires Krakens in big trouble, down 3 points already as they reach the halfway stage. And a very close match between Miami and Montclair too. So some real nail biters ongoing here. And we've got a bunch of great games as well, Robert, that have kicked off. We've got, we can go back to the Wanda Liang versus Van Kampen game, if you like, because, as you said,
let's go there.
This is just a performance and a half by Wanda Liang. Look at the domination, a piece down, but this bishop, tell me what's better, that bishop or this pawn on c6? I mean, this is just a gorgeous position for white. And I don't see a way for Robin to sufficiently liberate himself here
I don't really see how black can do anything whatsoever. Every move looks bad. Maybe a5 to get the bishop to a6, but even if the bishop gets to a6, then what? It's not actually attacking anything. It's just kind of sitting there. The pawn a5 becomes another weakness. After a5, queen can always come to e4 to take e5, to take a5. I mean, this position is just absolutely tragic.
This is what I thought he'd do. He'd go for e4.
Yeah, just take the pawn on e4. What is that?
Well, he wants to just play e5. He just wants some life for this bishop.
If I take on e4 and you go e5, right? I go queen d5 check.
Yeah.
Force your king to the h file and go rook. Yeah. Oh, I almost blundered my rook on h3.
Yeah, but you can go queen takes e5 there because now my rook is pinned on g7.
Yeah, it's ugly.
So what we're saying here is queen takes e4, and if e5, you give the check, very important intermediate check, and then you take on e5. And now white would be, I'm going to have to let me get my abacus out here. All right. Sorry, let me get my high-powered calculator out because I can't physically count how many pawns up White is there. Is he up? Is he up 7 pawns?
Right now, it's what,
No,
4?
he's got 8 pawns, right?
No, he
4?
doesn't.
No, he's
He's
got
got
7.
7.
He'd be up 6 pawns in that position, which is more than enough. And he didn't take on e4. That is interesting. I wonder why.
Well, I think he's just inviting e5, thinking, okay, you can go e5. I'll still take on e4. I'll still give you a check on d5. I'll still take your pawn on e5. There's nothing you can do about it. So,
Yeah,
pretty gross position.
gross position. Yeah, absolutely
And
disgusting.
the Pittsburgh pawn grabbers deserve a shout out because I was talking to their manager, Isaac Steinkamp, before the match this week, and they have won 4 straight matches dating back to last year. They started off really poorly, and I believe they won the final 3 matches of 2017. And now in 2018, they started off with a win last week and look to be on their way to another victory this week if they can keep the score up. So the Chess Bras actually had a 5-game winning streak heading into this match. So there's a 4-game winning streak versus a 5-game winning streak. It looks like, at least so far, it looks like that Pittsburgh is going to end the reign of the Chess Bras.
Well, they're only at the halfway stage. Yeah, anything can happen. Another 8 games to go. So we'll keep an eye on that. In the meantime, Robin's going to be suffering. We will come back to that. A bunch of other games have kicked off. What about Penguin GM1 against Sandro Mareco? We've got Andrew Tang against Sandro Mareco. And we have, well,
Where's the clock situation?
Well, Andrew Tang is down to 1 minute. But he's not going to be too bothered about that. This is a guy who plays 1 minute for breakfast.
Well, he'll be more bothered by the move b3 coming.
That
right?
is yeah.
The clock may not bother him, like you said. He does play a lot of bullet. He's great at bullet, but b3, with the idea of going my queen over to a8 at some point, maybe after take on c4, going over to a8 and trying to checkmate you. So I hate White's position. White isn't even up a pawn for his troubles.
Yeah, it's horrible. b3 has been played. Queen probably will come to f2 or d2.
This is just
Yeah, this is a disaster. This is a disaster for America's newest grandmaster, Andrew Tang, if I've got that correct. Any other new grandmasters on the horizon real soon, Robert? Any youngsters about to?
Well, I was mentioning Advait Patel, who's playing on the Sopranos. He is, I believe, it's 2 norms. Nicholas Cheka may also have 2 norms.
Right.
John Michael Burke actually just became a grandmaster.
Oh, John Michael Burke got there. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah. Formerly 2,600 plus because of the
Inflation
rating system. Yeah, the weird case factor, but he lost a bunch of points and gained some back, and now is a grandmaster. So good for him. All right. So where are we? Normally, I would say go to Shabov's game, but it's going to upset me too much to see him in a tough position. So I have to. No, we should go to Aman Hamilton's game because.
Okay, let's go to Aman.
He's actually completely winning. So let's just put it on the screen just to show all the Chess Bra fans that Aman is just smoothly outplaying Mika Bratton, and in fact, just won by resignation. Yeah. And in a change of pace, he actually was up on time in this one rather than his normal, at least seemingly normal, being down quite low on the clock in most games. So a nice win by Aman Hamilton. I was looking at this game a little bit earlier, but he was dominating early on, so I just didn't come to it, though perhaps I should have. And maybe we'll stay in this match just because the games are low on the clock. Wonder Liang is about to finally win. He just pushed his pawn to g7. He's going to get a queen. There's nothing Robin Van Kampen can do. That game is over. That's a very great win for Wonder Liang. Of course, he's a strong player. Everyone knows that he's one of the strongest juniors in the world. But Robin Van Kampen is obviously no slouch, and not a good showing in this one for the Chess Bra. Just a dominating performance by the pawn grabber. And well, he did grab a lot of pawns, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did grab a lot of pawns. So. Okay, so it looks like we're past the halfway stage, Robert, in all the games, and we are very much, especially in the Webster Windmills versus St. Louis Archbishops game, we are coming down the home stretch. Should we look at Shimano versus Akogian? That always looks like a pretty good little matchup there.
Oh yeah, if this is the home stretch for these matches, we have a Kobian, Shimano, we have Robson versus Yaroslav Zherabuk. Well, we definitely have a fight on our hands. That means we'll have Fedoseev against Corey. I mean, these are games you'd want to see in a closed round robin. So we get the pleasure of it on the Pro Chess League.
Absolutely.
So these games are just starting. So let's get to those games later. I feel like we want to give them their due.
Okay.
So let's go to Shapovalov's game because we haven't been there at all. And like I said, I was not liking his D4 square. And in fact, Renier Castellanos just put, what do you say, Renier or Renier?
I would say Renier. It's less French, I think, than we are. So we have to go to the
thinking squares and super bliss.
Here we go. Yeah.
And I wanted to come to this game both because it's very instructive. Look at the positional weaknesses for white. This knight on d4, if you take it on d4, you can choose which pawn to take it with, but taking with the e pawn opens up the e5 square for the knight, right? So you may double your pawns, but that's actually protected passed pawn. Now, from white's point of view, if the queens get traded, white may try to go b4 at some moment to get some activity on the queen side. So Castellanos took on d5. You have to take with the e-pawn. He took with the e-pawn. And now queen to f6. So if I'm white, now again, you don't want to take on d4 because e takes forward, knight comes to e5. You do want to play knight to d2 and just put that pony on the e4 square.
Agreed.
And from e4, you gain some activity. If black decides to go knight g5,
which he does,
it looks like that move was just played. Well, what's the next move, right? What exactly is black?
Well, I like bishop d3, just keeping options open. And now Renier needs a good move here, which he doesn't have easily, has to be said. He's played knight f5.
And watch out, because queen e1 might spy on that a5 pawn. So queen e1 here saves the queen, protects g3. You move that knight from b3, off goes the a5 pawn. And I think black's position, while the position should be about level, there's some dynamic equality in the position. I think black's position is much more difficult to play, and not just because of the clock. I think that on the board, you always have to be careful about losing. Okay, I don't know about this queen.
They're repeating here, it seems.
Maybe it's for the good of the team, because Pittsburgh is up a lot, but I would go queen e1 here in a heartbeat and just be content to keep going, because I just don't see a great move for black. Maybe
we have a draw. We have a draw.
Reasonable result, but maybe could have tried to play on for more. And Sandro Moreko did end up checkmating Andrew Tang, so that game.
No surprise there.
Where's our guy? Where's Sean Nagel?
Greenhaven, I got him in front of us.
Look at him go. Oh, Sean Nagel, you're about to checkmate your opponent.
We love Sean Nagel. I've decided I'm going to sack my current lawyer, and he's going to be my lawyer. How about that?
What a position. In fact, he could have probably won queen c7 last move, going for checkmate immediately. But this move, rook to d8, the idea is that, okay, if you take on e5 with the queen, I'm gladly trade queens. Normally you say, I don't want to trade queens when I'm attacking. But by trading queens, you follow with bishop to b3, and down goes the c2 pawn, and white is just completely crushed. So Sean Nagel proving that in the battle of IMs rated around 2440, that he is the one.
Has he won all his games today?
He is, I believe he's 2-0 thus far.
Yeah. And he should win this one. He's got a stunning position where white's king is just, I love the fact this bishop and knight do a great job of stopping this king sliding over to these squares and keeping it on this desperately exposed c-file. Bishop e3 played by Mario Villanueva. That really doesn't feel right. There's got to be a rook takes c2. Rook takes c2 check, Bobby. One time. Rook c2. No. Rook c2. Hold on. Let's just get that on the board. Rook c2, king c2, and queen c7.
But was it bishop c5 blocking it?
Well,
so you were blundering. That's what you were doing.
There may have been that.
You were busy blundering. Nagel's been busy winning. Down knight to e5, and that's just game over. You're winning a piece.
Yeah. Knight d5 is just.
So you got all excited. I looked at it. And I was like,
that was mate.
I mean, I respect the excitement. And actually, this game is just, now it's over. Queen takes e5, knight takes d3. That's a free piece. I'm still going to probably checkmate you anyway.
Yeah.
Sean Nagel, watch out for that man.
Sean Nagel.
He's playing real well. So he's going to win this one. Let's go over to Lenderman's game against Unieski Quesada. That's tennis master versus Alexander L. And a big game for sure. Wow. Very strong grandmasters. Don't be misled by Lenderman's 25-65 here because he jumped over 2,600. And in the current position, I'm very nervous about Quesada's position. The reason why, Lawrence, is that after C takes D4, where this stemmed from a French, White always wants to take with the pawn on D4 to solidify the center. But after C takes D4, Knight takes A3 is a phenomenal tactical shot.
Oh my goodness. That
might be move of the week. If and when it happens, that is just great.
My goodness me. Now that is that what you guys, I think we've been in St. Louis a few times together, Robert, and I went to see the Cardinals play. Is that what you guys would term as a home run, a ball out of the park? Knight takes A3, wham bam, thank you, Stan.
That would be a home run shot. And I mean, look at all of a sudden Quesada's thinking, because he realized that he can't take with the pawn on D4 lest he fall victim to this Knight takes A3 stuff. And so if he has to take with a Knight on D4, well, that E5 pawn is certainly going to fall.
And Queen takes E5 check, or any, Queen takes E5, Knight takes D4, Queen takes E5 check, and only black can be better here. Wow, what an opening here by Lenderman. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. And I mean, what a shot that is, Robert. I have to say that is a shot. That is a real shot. Is Mike Matheny still the manager of the Cardinals?
As far as I am aware, he is.
I haven't heard of it. Shout out to Mike Matheny, who's not watching, but if he were watching, he'd get the shout out. Great guy, and lover of chess in St. Louis. Big supporter of the chess. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Attilio Shetty beat Michael Kleinman, so the pawn grabbers are just piling it on at this point.
They are increasing their lead. Yeah,
that match may already even be decided. I haven't been following the exact score line, but it feels like it's like a zillion to not very much for the pawn grabbers.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of them. They really worked hard in the offseason. They got a Wonder Liang. They some of their own players improved. They have several IMs, 2 GMs, and so they actually are a very good fighting team, unlike last year when they did win their last 3 matches, but I think they were just, everything was over at a certain point and they were playing very badly, and I think the teams that they were playing might not have been so great themselves. I don't remember, but I just remember that they were not a team to be feared, whereas this year they seem much, much, much better. But anyway, for the actual over-the-board chess. So Nagel is completely winning. He got into an end game where he's up a pawn and just winning, so we don't have to look over there. That's our guy. Quesada is still thinking, and I'm not sure why. And
he's in a tricky position here. He's in a tricky spot. That's clear. Who else have we got then to... What about Yarrow against Ray Robson? How about this game?
Let's finally go to the St. Louis Webster match. Because these are the big fish, as Fedoseyev's handle is. These are the kind of all-stars of the league playing each other. And actually, I don't even see Fedoseyev's game for now, but Cruel Yarrow versus Ray Robson. Oh, I do see Fedoseyev's game. But okay, Yarrow with the white pieces, Ray Robson with black. Let's see what's going on here. I think that it's just normal stage of the opening. White is doing absolutely fine. I think black has nothing to worry about for the time being either. You do have to be a little bit careful, though, Lawrence, because white tends to want to play the move e4, right? Mm-hmm. Just breaking open the center. But if you go e4, black will start with bishop takes f3.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have an issue. If you take back with a knight on f3, well, I just take the e4 pawn for free. Knight takes e4. After e4, bishop f3, if you take with the bishop on f3, I go pawn takes e4 now, and you have to take with the bishop on e4 because your rook on e1 is hanging through your knight. And
so that explains queen a5. A very, very tricky little move there by Ray. Exactly. I really like it as well. That looks like an excellent move.
And it's a very multi-purpose move because as well, let's say at some point the pawns get traded from d5 to c4. That queen can swing all the way over to h5 and wreak a little havoc on that side of the board. So Ray Robson had the interesting opening thus far.
Really interesting.
And actually, let's okay, I'm going to try to peek on the score for this match. It's 7-5 St. Louis. Let's go over to Talia Cervantes versus Forrest Chen. Yeah, we want to focus on the Grandmasters, but we've had our eye on both of these players. Forrest Chen drew that first game against Corey and has played some very remarkable chess, and we've been very impressed with Talia Cervantes. And in the current position, that's dishonor on something, on your, the handle's very long, on your cow or something like that. And then a murder castle is Forrest Chen. And look at the position. I don't know if both players are super familiar, but they are playing relatively quickly. Black has complete control over the light squares, and white can play bishop c4 now to compete for the light squares. So I like this move, bishop c4, saying, if you want to take my bishop on e3, you're going to pay a grave price because bishop takes f7 check, followed by e6 check, wins quite a bit of material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll put that on the board there. So bishop c4, knight takes e3 would be a mistake on account of takes and check, and you win the queen. Okay.
And so after bishop c4, of course, black can play knight takes f4, but the ensuing position where, and bishop c4 is played, so Forrest Chen, you're definitely not listening to me, but you are playing very well. So bishop c4. And so if knight takes f4, we trade everything. First on f7, then take back on f4. And if we look at the position, white's attack is ready. h5 is coming next. At some point, white can even consider d5, right? Because now everything's protected. And black can play here the move c6. But again, white's attack is so straightforward.
Yeah.
You're going to go h5. You're going to break it open. And I mean, I think black's in big, big trouble here. So this could be an important win for St. Louis to clinch the match.
I would agree wholeheartedly with you there, Robert. So I don't like taking on f4. I don't like taking on e3. Has black got any other ideas here to just try and, you know, get some play of her own? Because otherwise she's just going to get rolled over here on the king side, as you said, with this ready-made attack. So has she got something here?
I wish I could say yes, but right now I'm having trouble doing that. Because c6 is such a slow move. It doesn't actually threaten anything. It just defends the knight, so then it's not really doing much. You can try to take on f4 and do all these trades, but I think the attack just speaks for itself. Because there's no way that black can get away with after trading everything on taking on f4, trading on f7, then finally white plays bishop takes f4, and then f takes g4 just like feels like you're just asking to just get crushed. So I'm just not seeing a way for black to stay in this game comfortably. I mean, maybe that's the way to go, is just try to take the pawn, say, you know what, I'm going to go up a pawn for the moment and try to get compensation. But something tells me that's not a legitimate attempt to stay alive.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Robert. And
yeah, this is... Oof. I mean, it's just
no. I don't see a way here. And actually, what that would mean is if Forrest Chen did win this, that would actually secure at least a draw for the archbishops, who would then only need half a point to win the match, and that would be a huge win. One of the highlight games of this division, of course, for the round. So we'll see what happens there. And she takes on g4, which I actually quite like. You know, there was g takes f5 was always in the air, so why not just take on g4 here?
Good question. Let's see. Taking on g4.
I mean, maybe she just wants to take twice on g4. If f takes g4, queen takes g4, and just say, well, if you give a check, I might interpose myself with a check. Then you might have bishop d3, that is true, and this still does look dangerous. But these are the sorts of positions, Robert, where I would seriously consider moves like knight takes e3, giving up the queen for a couple of pieces, although it shouldn't be enough, of course, with h5. No, it is very, very difficult for Talia.
I think she made a good practical decision, though. I think it probably is the best move. It looks very scary to play from our perspective, but I think it's the only way to stay in the game because white's plan is so natural and so easy that this is a very good decision. She's a brave player. We've seen it time and time again. So good on her to play this move, and she's going to fight this one out. And I mean, I would not be surprised if she remained in this game. And I just want to give a shout out to Alex Lenderman because he did win that game over Quesada.
Wow.
He has my vote for move of the week with knight takes a3.
Lovely move, yeah.
Potentially game of the week because that was just from start to finish. It's a brutal annihilation. Very strong grandmaster, and he deserves credit there. So staying within this match, this St. Louis match versus Webster. Where was that game I wanted to look at?
We've got Corey versus Fedoseev. This is a huge game.
I wanted to look at, exactly. What is going on here?
This is an incredible position. Let's have a look at this. This is... wow.
This is an unbelievable position. And the point is that, so G2 is hanging in some lines. So you might get your queen trapped. The rook can't come to G1 eventually to protect G2 because the bishop comes to H2. And right now, of course, the knight on H5 is hanging. So you should play rook H6 just to defend that knight. But I think white has to be doing extremely well here. I mean, look at the pieces on the queen side. There's a bishop on C8, a bishop stuck on B8 that cannot move, and a rook that's trapped on A8. So how to make progress is another question. So you have to figure out how does white play the move F3? When and
yes.
how? And knight G3, of course, is always going to be an option, but I'm not unhappy sacrificing the exchange. I feel like breaking open the position by taking on E4 could work out well. But the thing is, if I go F3 and black plays the move knight G3, once you take on E4, I think black can just take back on E4. Instead of taking the rooks, which aren't doing too much at the moment, you leave the rooks there and say, my knight on G3 is in fact more powerful than both of your rooks. Not to mention that the rooks are still under attack, but I would just leave that pony there. I mean, that's not a pony, it's a unicorn. That's a phenomenal. And so F3, he took on H5, and now on F3...
He didn't want to give up the exchange. This is the other way I was looking at here, Robert, of doing it. And also looks very interesting. I'm not sure how bad black's position is, though, now, especially that the bishop has got a square on G3, meaning that, the remaining pieces can come out. So if I take on F3 here, queen takes F3 and play a move like... I know you're threatening E4, so I've got to be wary of that. Maybe, yeah, actually, this is an issue. This is an issue, actually.
Yeah, and if you take on F3, queen F3, of course, I mean, that's like the immediate response. Even G takes F3 is worth a consideration, right? Just because you can start rolling your pawns down the board.
True. True.
But I agree with you. Even after it takes queen F3, what is black doing there?
Yeah, that's really difficult.
So if you start with bishop F5 just to defend E4, my essential question, Lawrence, and I really don't have an answer to this, is if white then goes F4 and says your pieces are trapped on the queen side, I'm going to go rook G1, queen E1, then push my pawn to G4, and just bishop to E1, or whichever piece to E1, right? So instead of F3, I'm wondering if F4 was somehow stronger.
Wow, that's really interesting.
I'm going to close everything up. Look at your bishop on B8. That is a ginormous pawn. It's worse, even worse than a pawn because it's worth more, and you want it to.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And so I think F4 was a just.
Well, he can still do it. It doesn't alter the position at all, right?
Well, now you can even take on E4 and consider taking on E4 twice. But I would not take on E4. I would just play F4 right away, and I would say.
I really like that. He did it. He did it.
There it is.
Wow.
So if you're listening to me, Mr. Corey, well, you did a good job for once listening because usually I recommend inaccuracies. Here I'd recommend a good move. So that's
a really good move.
It is horrible. Like, what can you do? You need that knight to be at F5 right now. And then I would say, you know what? Black has compensation. The bishop is terrible, but my knight's on F5 going to G3. That knight can't get there. You have to go F6, knight F7, knight H6, knight F5. It takes way too long. White is going to go rook G1, bishop E1, and G4. Okay, bishop F5 can't help you that much. Just go rook G1.
Oh, he's got knight A5. Also interesting. Just saying to this knight on D8, you ain't going nowhere because you can't give up this B7 pawn. Rook H7. Yeah, now I would be going rook FG1 potentially. Yes, and he's done that. Rook F to G1.
You know what this reminds me of, Lawrence? It reminds me of Alpha Zero.
Right. Maybe Jorge Corey is Alpha Zero.
You know what?
Alpha Zero.
I say that because, in those games, there's long just maneuvering and then finally just kind of pushing through. And I feel like right now, okay, he didn't want to wait any longer, and I don't see why he had to because there's no way you could take that pawn H3 and live to tell the tale. But the question still is, how does white progress? You can go h4, h5, but I still don't see a knockout blow yet.
I think you have to get this knight around from c3. You know, it's that famous maxim, one bad piece in your position makes your position bad. This guy on c3 is doing nothing. I want to see him in the action. Maybe what's going to happen is, you know, it's going to be like a queen f1, queen g2, knight d1, knight f2, and then knight into g4. Looks like a good path into the action for this knight. You've just got to be a bit wary that black doesn't ever have some kind of sacrificial idea on the queen side. Doesn't look like he does. I would be playing queen f1 or queen g1 here with the idea of knight d1, knight f2. That would be my estimation. But, maybe he's trying to get in knight e6, knight takes c5. This is what I'm talking about, Robert. There is some counterplay potentially here. Well, as soon as he goes knight e6, I think we just drop back with the knight to b3, and we should have everything kind of tied up there. We've just got to be careful of sacrifices here on d4 and f4. I'd put the queen on g1 here. I would play queen g1, I think. Queen g1, knight e6, and then knight back to b3. And then I would begin this long journey of the knight round to g4. And
I think this kind of tells us that maybe knight a5 was not the most accurate move.
Yeah,
I mean,
possibly,
forced the black queen to run backwards, but that black queen has no problem going there. And if you're not careful from white's point of view, at some point, black can consider you're putting his knight on e6 and saying you're not making any progress. Maneuvering the king over somewhere to like say, well, I don't want to go to c8 because I want to go g5 at some point. I'm like trying to play for a win, which is just playing for a loss. Because what I was going to say is if I start breaking open the position, but my bishop still has nowhere to go and my rook is still trapped on a8. So, I mean, I just hate black's position here. And I think Corey, well, I don't like Corey's time situation right now, but I positionally, it just has to be good. It has to.
Yeah, I mean,
then, what do I know about chess?
Well, that's a good question. A lot more than most people, that I can tell you. Okay, so where are we going? Where do we go now? Where do we go? Should we stick with it? Well, I think we should go to another game, Robert, because this is going to be a bit of a slow grind.
Yeah, let's
we
go
will
over
come back to
what
it.
game can we go to now. There's been progress in some of these games. In Forrest Chen, he's making his progress against Talia Cervantes, so we can just peek at the positions.
Yeah.
We do have to
Let's go
move
there.
around. He has landed himself a pass c-pawn. Just that is not moving anytime soon. It's not budging. It's safe. It's protected. He still has an attack over there on the king side. And so he's up a clean... Wait, he's not even up a pawn. It just looks like he's up a pawn because there's a pass pawn.
Credit to Talia, because her position looked much worse than this a few moves ago. So she's done really well to just steady the ship. Bishop to g5. Okay, that looks like...
I don't like that move. That's a greedy move when the position doesn't call for it. I think black can play rook d4 here. Get that activity going.
Or rook d5.
Or hit the pawn on g4. Yeah, rook d5 as well. I think rook d5 might invite bishop takes e7, right, protecting the pawn on c5. But I was thinking rook d4, at least I can get some counterplay on g4, swing that rook over to c4 if necessary. But I still have to like white here, because even if rook d4, bishop e7, something like that, you can take my g4 pawn all you want. That passed pawn on c5 is so powerful. It's just, especially if I can put my bishop on d6 and just like.
But maybe in this position, Robert, can Talia think about going rook b4? So after bishop takes e7, rook b4, b3, and a5, and just saying, well, two can play that game. You're playing, play that game. Start getting some stuff going on the queen side, some queen side counterplay. I quite like that idea. You're
absolutely correct. I mean, that does look very tempting. I think by feel, it has to be slow, but you're right.
Rook d7. Rook d7 is fine also. Why, guys? Because bishop takes e7, rook takes e7 exists in the position, because after rook takes e7, the rook is hanging in the corner. So now, well, okay, so Forrest takes on g6. Now the question, queen takes g6 has been played, but now after takes, now we have a problem. Bishop takes e7. This is an issue now for Talia, I feel.
Yes, and she had to take with the queen on g6, because otherwise, after pawn takes g6, the queen was running over to h2, where it was about to deliver a powerful check down the h file. So here, this is just very tough for black. I mean, white goes up a pawn after, let's say rook takes e7. I don't think it matters what you capture with, but you take on e7. you end up with this passed c pawn, and that's not good news for the Webster windmill. So because other games are very much underway, let's see. Okay, it looks like Jorge Corey only has 38 seconds left, and Fedoseev broke with g5. So he decided now was the time to go forward. And, well, why not? Because the rook on g3 is can be captured if you take on g5. Wow, terrible time management by Corey. He's down to 25 seconds left.
Wow.
And, okay, the archbishops are already on the verge of winning the match, but this is going to put the nail in the coffin especially saving a position like that. That was such an ugly position. It was hideous.
But somehow, Jorge he's mishandled this, hasn't he, somewhat? And now it feels as though Fedoseev, after gf4, his position is no longer bad, you would think. Although, if you could get a pony to e3, Robert, here with white, I'm looking at this guy over here, but it's not easy to do. But somehow the feel is that Corey has mishandled this quite badly.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think he's going to lose this game. And I'm just trying to see if anything else interesting is going on. Yes, Yaroslav Zherbuk with the white pieces is playing Ray Robson, and Robson somehow is just up. How many pawns is he up? It looks like 1 million, but it's only moved 20. Yaro with the white pieces has 40 seconds left and counting down. Robson is up 2 pawns. Yes, white has bishops, but there's no room for those bishops to operate. And so black is just doing excellently here. Castling's coming next. Queen back to a5 today, just castle and be safe. And yeah, this is pretty ugly. So somehow Yaro went wrong. I feel like he's had a bad day today, but maybe I'm.
Yeah, it also feels like that.
He lost very badly to Shimanov in the first game. So yeah, he's not having a good day of chess. Let's go to some.
Okay.
I guess we'll keep an eye on it. Machu Picchu. That's Corey has 7 seconds left, and that we've seen that position a lot. So maybe we should. Well, it's the last round, and I feel like with the time situation, maybe we should stay our focus here. But where are we going to move to? I guess we can move away from this match just because we have focused a lot of time on it. I'll keep everyone posted of the results as they come in. Let's go to. Let's see. A lot of these games are not super interesting, which is unfortunate. What is going on? Come on, why is every game just like in the end game and not giving me much to work with? Just
conspiring against us, Robert.
I know, and I see that Sean Nagel is playing his game. Well, and okay, Lawrence, we got to go to Sean Nagel's game because you're about to be
Nagel. Don't tell me he's winning again. Just don't tell me.
To say winning, but look at this beautiful position.
He won. Oh no, that's an old. Is that an old game? I think, hold on a second. Why is that old game up there? I've clicked on an old game, it seems.
Okay, and actually, before we go here, let's go back to Corey versus Fedoseev. Corey has 4 seconds left, and the tides have turned once again. Corey's king is somehow on c3, and he's the one with the pressure, although he just made a big mistake, I think, where he just dropped his knight back to g3. And I don't know if you have the game up. He should have queen to e3 and then try to double in the g file, triple in the g file, and just ended the game. Well, I think ended the game on the spot. Now, perhaps, I guess rook takes h4 maybe doesn't quite work. I'm just worried about this king on c3. Nobody likes to have their king all the way up the board here.
No.
And so what can you do here? If you go queen f6 and knight at h5 back will be kind of annoying. Rook takes h4 was indeed played.
And rook h5.
Queen takes h5 maybe from black, and then knight h5.
He took on h1, rook h1, rook h1, okay.
Took
some interesting geometry. Queen f6, knight h5.
No, white's position has to be good now. Look at the bishop on b8, still stuck there. Can't do anything. Again, if white's king makes me worried on c3, but...
Queen g6, queen h4, okay. Now queen d8, mate is threatened. Mate, queen...
Bishop. You have to move. Bishop e5 might be the only move.
Right? Bishop because otherwise e5.
You're getting mated, right? I mean, I don't see another bishop move.
Wow.
But can I just take the bishop on e5? I mean, what's going on there?
Yeah, well, of
Oh, and then
course you
queen
can.
g2 though. Watch out for queen g2. Queen b2 is
Wow.
mate. So bishop e5 might be a brilliant shot.
Oh my God, if that works. Bishop e5, fe5, queen g2, are you for real? Are you for real?
Because then you have queen b2 mate, queen f3 check is also in the air. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Do it.
That is the move of the set.
Bishop d6, similar idea. Well.
Wait, what is, whoa. No, this can't be the right idea. Moving backwards like this is only going to get you checkmated.
No.
So, you know, he went from potentially, I just don't like giving up this piece on d6. That can't be right because queen e7
I really love bishop e5. That was a brilliant resource, Robert.
So
absolutely
I'm just trying to get my back rank safe, and I saw that, again, the king on c3. You do not have a safe white king. Now it's safe because there's no check, and knight d7 check is coming, or, well, a number of moves are coming, and the king is actually very safe now. So a big blunder by Fedoseev. And what does that mean for the match? Because St. Louis was really cruising. They were up 7-5. This would make it 7-6.
Yeah, well, it's currently 8-6 with this game still in place. So, you know.
Forrest Chen did beat Talia Cervantes. As a huge performance by Forrest Chen. Because I talked to the managers of Webster, and they were saying that in order to stay in these matches, they need to win when it's board 4 against board 4 with GMs and GMs. They got to win. So let's go to Kobian is black and Shimanov. Kobian is playing with fire. He has 3 seconds left. His opponent has 2 bishops, and Shimanov has 9 seconds himself. So all of a sudden, the pawn on f2 is weak, and he gave up the pawn.
Let me just
cannot be a smart decision.
Here we go. Here's the game. Whoa.
He needs to try to win this game for the team. And, well, the c pawn is scary, but the attack on the king side is even more worrisome. And he won on time.
He won on time.
Oh my God, Webster won that game. So that leaves us, it's now 8-7.
It's 8-7, and this one, the Corey game ongoing.
Okay, let's go back to Corey. But Corey is completely winning.
And if Corey wins, we're 8-all? Are you serious?
Oh my God, Webster wins. Knight of 6 check wins the rook. Game over.
Oh no. Oh my God.
That is a tied match.
So hold on a second. 8-all. And that's it.
That is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. 8-all. How many chances St. Louis had there to put the match away with those 2 games ongoing? To not get half a point there is outrageous.
Oh my head hurts. What just happened?
Oh my God. How did that happen?
It seemed like the biggest give me we've seen in the history of pro chess. It was like 8-4. Like, or I don't even know what it was. 7-4, something like that. 7-5, and then 8-5.
Incredible.
I mean, it just looked like it had to happen. Wow. Corey played really well in the opening, misplayed. Okay, we got to go to other games, but I'm just in shock. So I'm going to try to see what's going on here in some of these other battles.
Okay.
Where to go to? We can check out. Do we want to check out this game? Alex Shabalov's game with the black piece against RVK. It looks like Shaba, the worst is, well, actually, I don't know. His position's still very different.
Let's see.
That's a Super Bliss and Kempsey.
Kempsey.
I'm still in disbelief. That is just
wow. What a save by the Windmills. What a save. Truly incredible.
Flagging, I never thought I'd see that, but it also is like a zillion o'clock in the morning in Gibraltar, bro.
Yeah, he'll be, well, I know how the guy feels. It's 3 a.m. here, and, he's played a full day of chess as well, so can't blame the guy too much.
But what is going on? Wait, did RVK, so RVK has an extra pawn.
RVK, yep, he is.
We have this game up against Shaba?
Yep, we've got this game up against Shaba.
So is rook takes e3 a tactic that's in the air? You always got to watch out for those dark squares.
Wow, that's a great tactic. Rook
e3, knight e3,
bishop d4, king f2.
Yep. Knight c7.
Knight c7. Wow, Robert Hess. And if rook b4, the idea is you can just take on e3 check, king takes e3, knight d5 check, king d4, knight takes b4, and you even pick up the bishop on c2.
And he played it. Rook takes e3 played.
Wow.
Shaba finding the tactics.
Shaba.
And
king f2 and knight c7. He's seen it. He's a genius. You are a genius, Robert Hess.
I mean, honestly, I always am worried when there's a no F pawn and a dark squared bishop being
Wow.
attacked by a rook. The first thing I always calculate, even if it's not good, is sacking that exchange on e3 because you have to keep into account the dark
But maybe
squares.
it's
And
still
once,
a draw, right? Because after rook b1,
oh,
knight
it definitely could
d5,
be a draw.
rook e1, I don't
Rook
see you.
b4. Wait, what is rook b4?
Rook b4? No,
Yeah, why would he do
he
that?
didn't. Why?
No, he did.
No, he
I
didn't.
think. Yeah, he did. I think he's gonna go king f3 and try to play with the rook, but that has to be losing
What?
chance. Not a.
Oh my God.
That is RV is not RVK's day. It is really not his day.
What the hell is rook b4?
He's.
I mean,
Walking,
it's not the knight's coming to d5. You should see that tactic.
no, and he had
That's
plenty of time to look at it.
inexplicable and inexcusable. I am defriending him from all social media as we speak. RVK, shame on you. What the hell is rook b4, bro?
Yeah, that is just a terrible decision. But I can't explain it. I understand missing rook takes e3. That makes sense to me. Missing that tactic, sure. Missing the very obvious bishop takes knight followed by knight d5 check, not exactly easy to explain from a very strong grandmaster in Robin Van Kampen. So he's still not dead lost or anything. He's actually, I think, drawn up a green. I think maybe it clinches the match.
Oh, it clinched. It must.
Does it?
That's the well. That's the only explanation. What?
I would make my opponent play if I'm black, but okay.
Well, maybe they do just clinch the match here. Maybe, or maybe the other games. Shabalov's looking at his teammates' games, which we should do against the Chess Bros. Let's have a look. Let's actually check in there. All right.
Let's go to Aman Hamilton.
Let's go to Aman. Sounds like a good start.
The black piece against Atulio Shetty, a strong international master. But what is going on here? So black is up. No, I thought black was up a pawn. Black is even. And to me, it just looks like oh, actually, what am I saying?
It looks fantastic for black to me.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a total draw. They just king d2, bring the king over, but then I realized the g4 pawn is then hanging, right?
I mean...
So what black is waiting for is white to move away from the protection of the f2 pawn and then take on g4 because a second pawn falls after that. So you can't just wait from white's point of view either because an a4, a3, I mean, that's...
f3, that might be... That's an interesting move, but of course, after ef3, king takes f3. Now, the question is, can you get a4? Can you just get going? Looks wonderful for Aman.
And if you, after take on f3, if you take with the bishop on f3, then, I mean, even you can go knight d7 at some point, right? Forcing... After ef3, bishop f3, you can go knight d7, c6, knight e5, right? You're hitting the bishop on f3. The pawn on c6 will just be gobbled up very quickly. So you can start with a4 here. You can take on f3. I mean, it's just easily winning for black. And so now it makes it even more confusing about that draw. I mean, they must be winning. And actually, officially, Minnesota has won. They were up 8.5 to 4.5, so they just cruised in this match.
Yeah, Minnesota have just blasted their way through. Never in doubt for Minnesota. The Miami versus Montclair Sopranos match still in the balance, though, so we will be checking that one out as soon as possible. But we're going to stay with the Chess Bras for the minute because Aman looks like he's going to win. So what does that mean? If Aman wins, that means it's 8-6. Who else have we got for the Chess Bras here? We've got Wurmparker.
Castellanos is playing
we haven't
Wonder Liang. That is a Red Nova and Thinking Squares.
And that is... Right, Castellanos playing for the Chess Bras.
And that is totally lost for white. Because you just lost another pawn. You're already down. You're now 2 pawns. You can't take back on d4 because the knight on b4 hangs. This is just...
yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, so actually that means the pawn grabbers, and as those of you who have been keeping up with the Chess Bras will have seen, possibly the best thing to ever happen to chess. If you've not heard this yet, go and watch it after this broadcast. Give Me Your Pawns, the remix, the fantastic song featuring Yasser Seirawan. Give Me Your Pawns. Shout out to the Chess Bros for that fantastic invention. And actually, Renier just said, you know what, I've had enough. And that means Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers have clinched it. And the Chess Bras, very, very disappointing today. Not on form at all. Some poor individual performances there. And they're going to have to make improvements before coming back next week, it seems. So
Yeah, and Castellanos, he went half out of 4 today. That is
yeah,
not going to do it for your team. I mean,
no,
that's just
no, you cannot play. And he's a great player, you know. He you know, but it may be the case it's 3 in the morning where he is as well. And you know, if you play at 3 in the morning compared to 3 in the afternoon, it does make a big difference.
I definitely agree with you. So, a Wonder Liang played like a total champ today. So, credit to him. He beat Robin van Kampen. Just beat Renier Castellanos. So, he's been playing well. And so, let's see.
And it wouldn't surprise you that your boy Greenhaven, Sean Nagel, is winning again. Is this going to be 4 out of 4 for Sean today?
It is going to be 4-4, and this guy is just a legend. In fact, if there's a Player of the Week, and I think there is a Player of the Week prize, I'm absolutely nominating Sean Nagel.
I agree. I second that. He has been brilliant, convincing in every game, crushed stronger opposition on paper as well, and
he's been phenomenal. He beat Sandro Moreko, who is significantly higher rated than he is, and he beat everybody else that's been in this path, including several IMs. So
no, he's just been.
That's my vote for Player of the Week. So Sean Nagel did not win Player of the Week. I'm upset at the powers that be. So let's pop around. That match is over.
Yes.
So let's maybe we should head to the Miami match versus the Montclair Sopranos, because there's a lot of time left in these games. And also, Amon Hamilton deserves a shout out. He did win his game over Attilio Shetty, but unfortunately it is too little, too late. So that win is kind of in vain.
I've got Becerra here against Checa. That's speed skater Nicholas Checa with black. As you said, Robert, the next one of the upcoming IMs and GMs from the US. We've got a pretty dry position here with Becerra with white. And yeah, but there is some ideas of knight takes h5 in the position. Knight f takes h5 and a queen landing on h6. Looks like it could be dangerous.
Yeah, and also it's worth noting that Checa is 0-3 thus far, so that's not exactly a good testament to what's going to happen in this game, because not a good start for him. In this position, white's better, not even close to winning or anything like that, but the control over the e-file, the better piece placement is knight on f4, can even consider sacrificing on g6 at some point if black's not careful. And black has no real plan, Lawrence. I mean, from white's point of view, well, I don't actually know if white has a plan either, so I don't know.
I mean, is this knight takes h5 just pie in the sky nonsense? Probably it is, right?
Knight takes h5.
So like knight h5, we go knight h5, gh5, queen h6. Can we just go f5 here?
Yeah. And maybe instead of taking on f5 and h5 with the knight, you take with the pawn. Just the knight on g7 is a good extra defender, I feel like. But yeah, same idea. I think that probably...
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary to do that. So is he going to take on e7, play rook e1, queen f6, and then... I mean, really, you want this... your knights are misplaced here with white. You want to get a knight to e5. He's played c4. That's also very interesting. c4, trying to free up some of his squares and some of his pieces. dc4, bishop c4 would already...
very instructional move.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like you said, you're freeing up the bishop on... The bishop goes to c4. Well, you have an isolated d pawn, and I know a lot of players like, oh no, like, I hate having isolated pawns. They're very hard to protect. But with the bishop on c4, you're immediately threatening knight takes g6. You're can't speak right now. Applying more pressure on the king side, and if you don't capture in c4, well, then white's can take on d5, and that's going to be another target. So an important lesson: when you have a good position, you have more space. Your pieces are in better situation. You don't want to just dilly-dally and waste time. What you want to do is create another weakness. And right now, look at this pawn h4. It forces the knight backwards, but that pawn h4 can become a target, especially if that queen swaps places with the knight on f4. So I really like white's position. Julio Becerra has been playing for a long time. He knows how to handle himself in a position like this. But Nico Checa is definitely a talented player and may be able to hold. So where else should we go in this matchup?
Yeah, let's go to another match.
We have Alex Lenderman with the white pieces against
Eduardo.
Yeah. That on paper is a great matchup.
Great matchup, yeah.
Iturrizaga is the higher rated of the two. He's 26, nearly 2670. Very, very strong. But Lenderman's been playing good chess. And look at this position that we have on the board. We see that after something takes on c4, well, then the material evens up, right? Because that's taking the pawn back. But you have to be very careful, because if you allow black to take bishop takes d5 and then follow it up with pawn to e4, black goes up a piece. So it looks to me, at least, like the last move, queen to d3 by Lenderman, allowing pawn takes c4. I guess white has to take on f6 first, but you don't want to do that, because you need you generally want a piece on d5 rather to blockade this on b7. By taking on an f6 first, now all of a sudden e takes f4 followed by pawn on e4 threats. Black's also starting to go d5 and just break open this position, right? So I think Lenderman's actually in quite a deal of danger here. And
I agree. I really like this position for black. And Iturrizaga, you know, he plays extremely well with the initiative. I've played Eduardo. In fact, in Gibraltar, where a lot of these guys are now playing, a couple of years ago, I had one of the best games I've ever played with black. I was playing against Iturrizaga. I had a completely winning position, Robert. We're talking one move away from clinching it. We were in this massive time scramble. It was the first round of the tournament. And lo and behold, what did I do?
You botched it.
I botched it and only made a draw, and it really upset me. But, you know, he's fantastic with resources and the initiative. So, you know, this position is crying out for as you said, takes, and some d5 break at some moment. He's trying to time it, or this e4 pawn as well. He's gonna think actually for a while here, because there's a lot going on. D6 is on pre, and there's a lot happening in the position. So I wonder if that will what we'll see there. Minnesota already on 9.5 points, and there are still 2 games to go there. They could have just a trouncing of Buenos Aires, which, you know, the Argentinians are not going to be so contentos tonight, I tell you. Pretty poor performance in general by the Krakens. But Mareko, if I understand correctly, is he over in Gibraltar as well?
I believe he might be.
I mean,
good question.
Feels like he's over in Gibraltar. I'm going to have a quick look here, guys.
I know for a fact that Federico Perez Ponce is, because he lost to Nakamura.
That's right.
Speaking of Nakamura, he will be playing in the next division, the Pacific Division, for the Seattle Sluggers. So everyone obviously should stay on and watch Nakamura.
He's playing.
He is playing, yeah.
How? Where? What? When does that kick off?
That kicks off at, like, I don't know, after this ends, like in 15, 20 minutes or something like that.
He's going to be playing at 3 in the morning?
I mean, that's a carb for you. Drink a couple Red Bull and get on your way. So,
oh my goodness, that's
as for relevant games here, right? We have a couple left from this Miami Montclair, and this is the important matchup. Not the other matches aren't important, but the others are decided.
Yes.
That's how I frame it.
So where do you want to go here, Robert?
I was trying to go to Bichovsky versus Quesada because the position is weird. Bichovsky with the white pieces. He has this kind of nice pawn on e5, but black has this really good blockader on e6. That knight there. And look at the pawn structure, right? Black has 4 on 2 on the queen side with the D to the A files.
Mm-hmm.
White has 5 on 3 on the king side. And so what that means is that in an endgame, black would love to start getting the pawns rolling. This move a5, maybe going to a4. And white just chooses to go a4 himself. A move that I don't necessarily love, but I think it makes perfect sense just to stop black from doing so.
Yeah, I think he wanted to stop that pawn from coming up the board. So,
but something worries me about this knight coming to c5 at some moment and the weakness on b3. But I don't see how black actually gets there. In the meantime, Bichovsky can go king g2, can just try to maybe put his bishop on h5 to provoke g6. Maybe you want to provoke that.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
It's very like
it's really odd. It doesn't feel the moves aren't coming to me naturally here at all for white. Actually, if I'm totally honest, can I suggest something outrageous? Can I suggest like king g2 and then rook fd1 and rook takes d5. Is that the most insane?
Yeah, that
Maybe
is.
that is insane. Is that a 3 o'clock in the morning suggestion, Robert? Because maybe I'm just
Yeah, that
losing my
is.
mind.
This is not my game, and if it was my game, I'd only do this in bullet type of move.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly right. Correct. Okay, so he did go bishop h5, g6, and now what's he going to do with the bishop?
So
Um,
maybe go bishop e2 to d3. Yep, bishop e2.
okay.
And I'm thinking by putting it on d3, now at some point you can try to go, h5 or g4 and just put some, kind of tickle that king side there. And I think that black is sort of stuck for the time being. Where are you moving your pieces? Like I said, you want to put that knight on c5, but as soon as you do, white will go bishop d4 and actually pin that knight, right? So that would be a problem. And okay, so I like white here because white has more opportunity to break through. Now, black can never, ever, ever play the move d4 because bishop c4 would be tragic. So from white, right now I'll go rook h1. I'll say, okay, what's your next move? And you got to create problems. Just give black the opportunity to make a mistake. You're not winning here or anything, but by giving your opponent the opportunity to make mistakes, that's how you end up on top. So okay, we'll keep an eye on that game. We should go to the Iturrizaga game because that game is about to end. It looks like that Lenderman is just totally busted after this move, knight to g4. So exactly what you had said, Lawrence, with taking on f4.
There we go. It exactly happened, right? So taking off it, and that's what I said. Eduardo, dangerous player when he gets these positions.
It's just over because there's no way to protect everything. By going rook d2, you allow rook e1 check, and then the king has to go to g2, and the queen takes h2 checkmate. If you take on g4, I simply take back with the queen on g4. I bring my rook to e4, where I threaten your knight on c4. I threaten to deliver other kinds of checks. I mean,
it's just over. It's just over.
And black's not even down any material for this vicious attack. So Iturrizaga will likely win unless something goes tragically wrong. And that would be 7.5, 5.5 for Miami. So the magic number is 8.5 or 8 to tie. So that would make it 7.5. We said Bykhovski, I like his position, but I don't know if he'll be able to bring it home. Becerra and Czech are going to draw. They're going to do 2 knights apiece ending, symmetrical pawn structure. And, well, we've seen stranger things happen, but it should be a draw. And that leaves Rosenthal and Advaita Patel. Patel is just one, actually. He is up a full rook. Rosenthal threw in the towel. And that means it's right now officially, I can't count, 6.5, 6.5 with 3 games remaining.
Wow. So we've got a bit of a nail biter here. 6.5, 6.5 between Montclair Sopranos and Miami Champions. This one here, as you said, should be a draw, although, yes, stranger things have happened. I prefer white. Of course, I prefer white, but,
So h5 played by Bykhovski. That's the really interesting game. We can jump to...
Let's go to Bykhovski. Okay, let's do that.
These other games are pretty level, but the Bykhovski game is very interesting. Now black has to go g5. I mean, you don't want to let that h file open, do you? And...
Well, if g5, maybe then white wants to go h6 to just not allow black to cement, which he does. And now the rook can swing round to h5 in some positions. The bishop can also go to h5, just getting that rook off the f line. And
so who wants to play f4?
Yeah, that's the other big question, right? Who's going to play f4 in this position?
Because if white had 2 moves to play queen d3 and f4 in one go, something like that could be very nice from white's point of view. It also can backfire with the pawn e3 being weak, but it's something to keep in mind. But if black goes f4 now, that bishop will sit on g4, and that knight on e6, you don't really want it to be attacked. So queen d8 is saying, all right, you think you're better, you just push your pawn to h6, show me how you're going to win. And playing rook h1 now is scarier with f4 coming and no protection on the f file, right? So it's tricky. I think rook h1 you can play because after f4 you still have bishop g4, and that move is kind of always in the air, and then you can play f3 to shut down the f file. But Rook h1 looks good. That looks like the move to play by
Yeah, it's
Bukowski.
a natural move as well. But as I say, very, very double-edged position. I don't even know who I prefer here. It's just such a tough position to to analyze. Because rook h1 f4, yeah, this bishop g4 move is always there. I would go rook h1 and say, all right, what's your next move?
Yeah, I mean, I am scared to an extent about this f4 because even after bishop g4, perhaps black can go queen e7 and try to keep things locked. But I don't know. I'm still not convinced that black is actually crashing through on the f file because at some point white can consider like playing f3, as I was saying.
Yeah.
Looks also very weakening. So it's something that you now need to be concerned about from white's point of view is c5, d4 stuff, right? Now that if the bishop goes over to g4 and I'm already protecting my knight, I get
Ooh, he did play f4. He finally went for it. So but he found the right time to do it now that the e3 pawn is not hanging, right? So that definitely feels like if you're going to do it, that this is the time to do it.
And now you're really asking black, if you want to go g4 thinking the position is locked, maybe white goes e4 there. I don't know if it's good.
Wow.
I'm just saying you have to calculate
so g4, and now you just want to blast it open with e4. The point being, if I go d takes e4, you go bishop c4 with a nasty looking pin along the long diagonal. And if you go f takes e4, then I go bishop takes g4, and suddenly this knight on e6 is being evacuated and evicted, I should say, from e6. And he's just come back! Robert, he's come back. He should have stayed there. Now what does white want to do?
Maybe he was provoking the weakness, thinking that he'll hit e3 and all will be kind of nice in his camp.
Actually, how do you defend d3?
Oh, queen d3, right?
And then bishop c5?
And then I was thinking about moving my king, but I don't know if that's any good.
Oh my goodness, because if you start going super passive here with white, you just get hit with g4. Now we do win that pawn, which is a big pawn to win. So you can't do that. So how is Bukowski now going to defend?
Either maybe bishop h5, but then actually the bishop might get trapped over there once you go g4. So I do have to be careful. He went bishop h5, so queen takes e3 is an exchange sack. And is it good for black?
No.
White?
He's not going to play queen takes e3, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, keep an eye on the clock. 1 minute and 15 and counting down for Quesada, 2:14 for white, Bukowski. So, I mean, white's chances have to be good here, taking the clock into consideration. That's a very important minute. I mean, Lawrence, we've played so many blitz games, and you know how difficult it can be once you.
He did it. I think that's a poor decision. That being said, there is a little tactic that if bishop takes f7, rook takes f7, you cannot go rook f3 because of the. Oh yeah, you can go rook f3. You can go rook.
You were going to say rook.
I was going to takes a knight d4 check, but good news is it's 3:30 in the morning where I am, and I just about saw bishop takes d4. So
well, actually, I'm liking it the more I look at it. And the problem is this bishop on b4 cuts the e1 square off, and black can always go queen e4 and trade queens if need
be. That's true.
So, like for example, if bishop f7, rook f7, rook f3, maybe just queen e4 there, saying, okay, I'll offer the trade of queens. If you capture me, now I take with the d pawn and swing my rook to d7. So, whoa, take on g5.
What happened?
He took on g5. I guess that's a good decision, trying to take on f5 next. And the clock situation, that's what is, to me, that's what is going to tell the tale. And Lenderman still has not lost yet.
Maybe f4 here. No, it doesn't quite work. Rook f3 again. Oh, no, wait, that's interesting. f4. f4 right. Now.
So f4, rook f3, you're going to queen
e4. And if you take, and then I get f3 check in, and I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, that looks tempting. So he took on g5.
He took on g5, okay.
So now rook f3, maybe you just go f4 then. But still, the black king is also very open, very exposed. And so, okay,
rook f3 played.
Becerra endgame is going to be winning. Looks winning for Becerra all of a sudden if we went on.
Wow, okay. We'll quickly shoot there again because it looked as though should be held. Checker is having a disastrous performance today.
Yeah,
But
this is
yeah,
about to be
this,
four.
yeah,
I mean, now this A pawn, you just go B5, A6,
yeah.
A7, over. So that's a that's a heartbreaking loss because you needed that
No,
half point
you
just to
really
stay in
needed
the
that.
match.
What about
Although
Lenderman? Lenderman has gone down as expected to a Tudi Saga. So
no,
that's a.
Leonard's still somehow still alive, but he is going
Oh,
down.
wait, he's still alive. What? He's still alive? But he is going down. You're right. Eduardo can do pretty much anything. Queen c3 check here. Bishop takes d5 is also good. Yeah, this is over. This is not worth looking at. But this is the game, isn't it? Bajkovsky versus Quesada to finish things off. Queen takes h6, and yeah.
Well, that's
14 seconds for Bajkovsky. 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is not good.
Rook h1, Queen g5. He needs a move.
So bishop
c1.
Oh, that hangs e5. Ugh.
Rook h4, Rook g7, King h3. He's hanging on.
This can't be right.
F takes g3.
This can't be right.
Can you take?
I don't know. Bishop e7 maybe. I guess you could take too. He took. Yeah, this is just.
Bishop c1.
So can you? I really want to go g2.
Yeah, g2 and g1 equals knight would have been cute if the g.
G2 still works, right? G2, you take my queen. I got another queen. I'm mating you next.
That's really nice.
That's painful. So Quesada gets his revenge. He did lose to Lenderman.
Rook g3, Queen h1 check. Queen f1, King goes to h2. Wait, hold on now.
Bishop e1. Whoa, wait,
Rook takes
g5 here?
Rook takes g5?
He blundered. Black blundered, and no time on the clock for Black either. Both sides under 10 seconds. Queen h7 check now.
King f8.
Watch out. Queen h6.
Check.
No. I think Queen h6 first was necessary.
And now, yeah, Queen h6, King e7.
Queen h6 was necessary.
And then Rook f4.
Rook.
Yeah.
And you had Rook f4, exactly.
Exactly. Rook f4. Queen h7, Queen. Now it's over. Now it's all but over. And Bajkovsky was he close. I tell you. But that's a huge win for Miami. And that means, I believe, if my calculations are correct, if Julio Becerra manages to convert this, and it's still not over, are they both making queens here? Surely not. Are they both making queens?
No, because White will go knight e4 to f2 before you. Well, now White just goes knight e2 and stops your queen.
Right.
So a7, g2, knight e2, resigns. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Wow, what a crazy day. I mean, just.
Yeah.
My hero is Sean Nagel. Right?
Sean Nagel has just been exceptional today. Absolutely exceptional.
I think shout-outs are in order as well for Wonder Liang. I feel like he had a totally dominating performance,
he
but
played extremely well.
Don't have an exact score. So hopefully I can get that, but he played very well. Who else had a good day today?
Talia Cervantes, despite her score, she is Cervantes, right?
Yeah, but she lost her last game to Forrest Chen. So Forrest Chen actually.
Forrest Chen also, but they both impressed me massively, has to be said. Not so impressed by the Buenos Aires Krakens. Really, a very poor score, 4.5 today. So yes, unfortunately, they were not on form. And
crazy.
Yeah, crazy low score. Queen b7, King.
I mean, it's hard to compete with Sean Nagel. I think that means someone else on Minnesota also had a big score. Because Sean went 4. There's another 7.5 points somewhere there. So probably, unless everyone just kind of went 3 and no, that math doesn't work. But whatever. Sean Nagel is the hero. The Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers 2-0. Who would have thought?
By the way, this position, is it actually so clear? How do you ever stop G1 equals Queen here, Robert? Because you've got.
Oh.
Check.
Ooh.
Okay, 95? Well, 95 was also good there.
Yeah, wait, what was that? Wait, what just happened?
Well, I mean...
Isn't now black, only black can be better? How did this happen?
I mean, I don't know what Julio has done, but he's made... now King f6 or King d6. King f6 was Queen king e5, and yeah, this is. Oh no! Oh goodness! How has this happened?
Do I want to
How
know?
how
Do I,
on earth has
wait, what is going on in this game? Wait a
Queen
second.
c7 is end of game? I guess. Queen
So
c8.
Bukowski lost. If Bukowski did not lose, this match would have been a tie
Yes.
once Checo wins this game.
Yes.
That is unbelievable. What is going? Wait.
Knight
Also, is he,
f4? Why is he doing that?
what is he?
What is he doing? I mean, his knight gets back. It's fine.
Does it? Oh,
Yeah,
King
it does.
A7, 96.
King c6, 96. King
Wait,
c8.
what? Wait. How do you don't get back?
You don't get back?
No, oh my God. I'm like, this can't be right. Because King A7, there was 96, but now to King C8, you're definitely not getting back.
Oh, no, it's a draw. No. Is it a draw?
No, you have a knight, so I don't think it is a draw. Queen H1.
No, it's a draw. H2. Of course it's a draw.
Well, now it's definitely a draw.
Oh, thank you.
What
all right,
in the
a
world
fitting
is
end to a game. What a ridiculous game that was. Up and down and up and down, and overall pretty poor play.
Can that whole game win blunder of the week?
That was blunder city over there. So that means that Miami wins that match 9-7, I believe. So very quick roundup then for the scores. We had an unbelievable finish in Webster Windmills versus St. Louis Archbishops, where Webster were on the brink of defeat and pulled it back quite astonishingly to tie the match. Montreal Chess Bras routinely outplayed by the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers, who have been brilliant this week. Buenos Aires Krakens did not really turn up against the Minnesota Blizzards, who were already secured a victory before the beginning, I think, of even the last round. And then we just saw the Miami champions take home the gold against Montclair Sopranos. Any final thoughts there, Robert?
I mean, my head hurts from that last game. That was just absolutely mind-boggling. Both sides were losing, winning, drawing, and it's crazy. But my ultimate thoughts were that the Webster and St. Louis, that was a really intense match, and I think those two teams should be looked out for in this division. Pittsburgh, I love Pittsburgh. Not only do they have Shaba, who's just one of the most exciting players to watch, but they have a Wonder Liang, the youngster American Grandmaster. And then the Chess Bras, disappointing. Very disappointing day. They just struggled mightily and couldn't contend with Pittsburgh. And Minnesota, I mean, that's just Sean Nagel. That's it. That's how I want to end the show, is Sean Nagel. That name, those two words.
Remember that name.
I'm out.
Okay. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure calling this with you guys today. And it's not over there. We've got the Pacific Division to go with the one and only Hikaru Nakamura pulling an all-nighter currently based in Gibraltar. It's 3:40 in the morning. That is dedication. He will be playing tonight, and that's going to be up very shortly.
5 minutes from now is when the next division starts. 5 minutes.
Just going to get confirmation. And remember, guys, you can follow myself on social media at LawrenceTrentIM on Twitter, and doing a lot of streaming via chess.com as well, twitch.tv/Trentosk. If you enjoyed the commentary today, I'm going to be putting in the hours, putting in the grind to the Twitch streaming as well for my personal stream. Bobby Hess is going to be, of course, very active on chess.com with his shows, with our one and only Danny Wrench as well, so keep an eye out for him. And I believe we're just going to get confirmation that we can switch over. But yeah, been an absolute pleasure. So it's a shame we can't hang out more, Robert.
I agree. And, my new salutation to you is going to be Sean Nagel. That's just
Sean Nagel.
You're going to understand that means we're
What
winning.
a player. Oh, my God. What an underrated and extremely talented player.
I'll try to get you his contact information if you need a lawyer.
I do need a lawyer. Yeah, absolutely. Of that, I'm sure. If there's something I need, it's a lawyer. A lawyer and a few rating points. And just getting message through here in my ear. Let's see. Well, just going to see this come through before we switch over. And yeah, it's definitely my bedtime, guys. My goodness, 3:40 in the morning.
Yes, almost my bedtime. It's only 9:40 at night.
Is it 9:40 over there? Is it okay?
It is out in New York.
Okay, we've been told they're not quite ready yet. So what I suggest, Robert, is why don't we actually have a look at what can we look at here? Well, we
Why
can
don't we
look
look
at
at the pairings for tonight's game, tonight's matches, right?
the pairings for the following matches.
Yeah, let's make our predictions. It's always fun to be wrong.
Oh right, okay. So in the Pacific Division, then we've got the Dallas Destinies against the Rio Grande Ospreys. So what do you think is going to happen between Dallas and Rio Grande?
I think that Dallas is going to win that match, and I'm going with, I forget what I went with earlier. My mind already is lost. I made a prediction during my halftime show. I'm going now 9-7, Dallas.
9-7 Dallas. Okay, then we've got a really big game between the Seattle Sluggers and the Las Vegas Desert Rats.
So you got to give Las Vegas credit because they have Dominguez, they have Melikachian, who everyone on chess.com should know.
Yeah.
They have Andre Ostrovsky, who's been doing a lot.
My boy, by the way, shout out to my boy Andre Ostrovsky. We play on the same Bundesliga team. I've known Andre for a few years, based down the road here in Germany. Extremely talented player and doing well in the Arena Kings on chess.com as well, winning a tournament, I believe, this week on Arena Kings. So shout out to my boy Andre.
Yeah, no, I mean he's great, and just between those three and then Nazi Paikidze on board 4, I just like where Nazi sits on board 4 compared to, there's Anthony He, who's very young and talented for the Sluggers, and Bryce Tigon, who's an international master, also young. I like the experience in Paikidze on board 4. I think she can handle her own against some of the top players, and I think she can outplay those younger people who are more in line with her rating. So I like the Desert Rats. I know Hikaru is probably going to go, 4-0, at least 3.5. But will it be enough? And I just think that Las Vegas is stronger on the other boards. So I'm going Las Vegas. I'm going 8.5, 7.5. I might have said something totally different earlier. I don't remember.
Okay. And what about the San Jose Hackers against the Australia Kangaroos?
Yeah, I love the Hackers logo. I love the Australian team. I'm going with the logo over the team. I think that the youngsters on the top boards for Australia, Alexei Sarana, Anton Smirnov, a little bit too inexperienced relative to Rauf Mamedov, who,
of course,
absolute beast.
The beast, yeah.
The guy is a monster. He's crossed 700 in classical as well.
Yeah,
and Zoria as well. These grandmasters are experienced. So I like the top boards in San Jose, and the bottom boards still are pretty good for San Jose to get them the win. But I think it's going to be a nail biter. Really, I think that one's going to be very, very close because of the lower boards for Australia.
And finally, the San Diego Surfers against the Chengdu Pandas.
So these are the two teams that everybody else fears. So Chengdu is just, that is my favorite team, strongest team. Yu Yangyi is a monster and a half.
He's brilliant.
And so I think that with Yu Yangyi, Wang Yue on board 2, and then kind of similar board 3 for Chengdu. And then there's, I don't know this player, Li Zhaoyang for Chengdu.
I don't know him either.
That player is below 2,100 FIDE, at least according to the current, the ratings used here, 2091. I have no idea what year he was born in. He could be 10 years old. He could be 40. But what I do know is he's going to be underrated.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I like where the San Diego's at on board 4 with Tatev Abrahamian because she can play with any of these players.
Yeah.
And so I think they have a huge advantage on board 4. Granted that I think Chengdu is underrated, but Yu Yangyi is just a superstar. And Alexei Dreyev, Sam Sevian, John Daniel Bryant, they can't hang around with Yu Yangyi. And I respect Dreyev immensely. I've learned a lot from studying his games. Phenomenal player, still a great rapid player, but Yu Yangyi is just a different class. And so I'm going Chengdu there, and I think that they're the team to beat in the entire Pro Chess League. And I'm going Chengdu. Let's go by a score of 9.5, 6.5.
Okay. All right, Robert, thanks for that. I've been given the all clear that we can now switch over to the next commentary team. Once again, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out and looking forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care.